Shirt Show. All right, let's go.
Shirt Show! Talking shirt! Shirt Show! Talking shirt! Shirt Show! Talking shirt! Shirt Show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 151 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Eric from Night Owls and Tony from Tiny Fish. Let's go!
Hey there, Schnookums.
Hey, dude. What's going to happen?
There you go.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
What's happening?
Look at you. You're a fucking sexy man.
What's happening?
We're just glad that your camera and audio work.
I did a tech check, a very thorough tech check.
I like how all of us are kind of, distance straight, and then we're like close up on Tony's face right now.
What do you mean? This is how we're going to do the show from now on.
No, I was told I got to sit back here. Oh, shit. Look at Andy standing like some sort of mogul.
Yeah.
Yeah. People, they see me standing here all the time, and they come in my office and they're like, hey, you need one of those treadmill things that you just, get your steps in while standing and working. And I'm like, I can hardly do one thing at once.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got to walk.
You just get like a standing desk? Like
you did. Look at that.
One of those treadmills?
It's right here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wait, with a treadmill?
Ready. No, I do not have a treadmill. I would eat shit on that so fast.
That'd be sick.
It's like as soon as you stop paying attention, right? Like you're in the middle of thinking about something, you just fall instantly.
Exactly. Yeah. So what's up, boys? How's it going?
We're doing things. We just got our squeegee washer.
Just now? That's what you got off the truck?
Yeah, it just arrived.
Cool.
So we'll see how it works.
So do you want to cancel this so you can go play with your new toy, or?
Well, I want someone else to set it up for me, and then I'll come play with it.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys like the first people to buy? Like, how many have they sold? Do you guys even know? Because I mean, you're looking at it too.
Yeah, I think I was told they had a few already up and running, like at Adidas and some of these big places, and then they said we were the first suckers to actually.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you're replacing.
We gave a bunch away.
You're replacing two. Don't you have two Crystal Cleans or something like that?
Yeah, we have two Crystal Cleans, and they're okay and all that, but I don't know. We just thought this might be the next evolution.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, even for us, right? Like we have one Crystal Clean, and it's debatable on how well it works. It works. It definitely helps speed up the process, but I'm also very convinced that we've gone through a lot of different chemistry in it, and I'm convinced it's like melting and warping our squeegee rubber and also degrading it, but I don't have a clear-cut way of like testing it to make sure. So that's why we wanted to look at the M&R version too. But
does the
Alex has one coming in now.
Does the M&R use heat at all?
No.
And it has like a line for water to go into it, so it's using chemical and water.
What I will say from looking at the M&R at the show, it's not a lot different than the Crystal Clean machine, really. What it delivers the solution kind of the same way. It comes up a pipe, goes over the top, drops down out of that. You know how it has the black pipe in the Crystal Clean, and
but it spins though.
It spins, but I thought it spins, but it's like rotating, like slowly.
It's like a slow rotate.
So if you were to have a handy guy on staff, they could probably just make it so the squeegee stands straight up and down, and then have it already rotates, like the Crystal Clean one rotates the same speed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the water comes down from the top. And then if you were to just turn off the heat on the Crystal Clean and bypass it, and then get the same solution the M&R is running, and just not use Crystal Clean solution.
I love how you thought this through, but you still bought the expensive ass M&R machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's something to be said with using a product that's already pre-made that you don't have to go and like.
Well,
I get that.
I think the M&R actually filters, which is, if I remember correctly, it was filtering and had like a reserve tank, like Eric was saying. Like it was like you could do it with the Crystal Clean one, and the Zettner one I think is very similar, where it could be modified. But this one just had like plus features, I guess. And I was like, well, let's give it a shot.
But it goes back to mine and Andy's discussion the other day, is it's done and it's done right. You don't have to fuck around with it.
Right. Hopefully. We'll see.
That, and I always have people ask me, like, well, where is the break even? Like how many squeegees do you need to be cleaning, squeegees and floods, should you be cleaning before you purchase one of these? And it's kind of the same question that people ask me, like, oh, you have an auto coder, like, so how many screens are you coding? And a lot of times it doesn't come down to, oh, well, we bought the auto coder because we couldn't keep up coding screens. There's other reasons, you know what I mean? And so I think with the squeegee and flood cleaner, a lot of it has to do with just keeping up with squeegees and floods, because a person doing that, for example, like at your shop with all those high color counts, you must have been doing probably towards 100 a day, and so how do you like keep up with that? And also it does such a fabulous job. And now you don't have to hire an additional person to do that kind of thing. And then you can take that person who was doing it and breaking their hands, because it's very hard to do that. It like hurts like shit after 10, and they get to go do something else,
Right.
I think the answer to that question is just peace of mind. Like, that it does what it's supposed to do, and you don't have to mess around with it. Like the coder is kind of the same thing. It's like, I know I have a consistent code every time. I know if that person's sick, someone else can go in and hit the green button. Like, it doesn't really have to do with how many screens I'm doing. It has to do with, I just know it's consistent.
Yep. And also, if that employee leaves, it's really easy to just throw someone in that position and have them take over.
Or they're sick or something.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes it does come down to a little bit more than just like, what is that break even point? And sometimes it's just like, for us in our shop, and Tony, I'm sure you're the same way, if someone was out sick coding screens, like, I'm next in line for that position. And, there's days where we have to code 200 screens, and it's like, well, I don't want to spend, nor can I spend my entire day coding screens. I have to, talk to you, ding dong. So there's stuff like that too to consider. And
also, you're going to code differently than the other person, and so your EOM may be off, and then your first screen to your 100th screen is the EOM is going to be off, and all those sort of things. I mean, it's more than just where's the break even. I mean, even if we were coding literally, I know this sounds crazy, 25 screens a day, I like having the autocoder because everything's consistent.
Yeah.
Check. Are we recording? We should probably check. I forgot.
Andy texted me earlier and was like, let's just not do a pregame. We'll do it with them.
Yeah.
So
we all just are here now. Happy hump day, by the way.
Yeah. We're all here. I think we're good.
Eric? Oh, what you got there? Is that an espresso?
That's
latte.
It's a decaf latte. I'm trying to cut down on my caffeine.
Smart.
Were you having trouble sleeping?
No, I just felt like I was drinking too much coffee, and I needed to change that. So going to decaf was the next effort to try and curb that.
I've just been pounding water nonstop.
Yeah, that's much smarter.
Do we want to do sponsors now, or do we want to do it later?
Yeah, we can do sponsors now. First, though, I needed to share something. I saved a caterpillar this morning, so I go to leave. And I hit the button when I walk out, into my garage. I hit the button and the door is rising. And then my routine is I put my backpack in the front seat from the passenger side, so I don't have to like lean over. I'm preserving my spinal health, and so I load the backpack in, and then I walk around the backside of my car, and there it was. It was a beautiful caterpillar, kind of inching across the path. If I was going to squish him for sure.
Ooh.
And I was like, "Hey, little buddy," and I saved his life. I thought that was
him up and slurped him down like a worm.
Like, I'm a good Samaritan, is what I'm trying to say.
Is it one of those like memes where you like saved him onto a ledge and then a bird came and just like scooped him up?
No, it just grew into a beautiful butterfly and flew away. That's what happened. I saw it before I left.
This actually ends up with becoming a butterfly, hitting your windshield when you're going down the highway, you losing control.
Yeah, probably so.
Let's get deep for a second and realize how many creatures and insects and everything that we kill daily just by walking around or driving or
breathe in.
Existing. Yeah.
Well, there's like a whole group.
What effect that has on something down the line, right? Like, yeah.
There's like a whole group of people that like walk with a broom in front of themselves or something. They like constantly sweep as they go, so they're not like.
Does that work for you, Tony?
I haven't tried it, but
he's like, I'm not practicing right now.
My wife gets really mad with me because I put anything I catch in the house, spider, I throw it outside. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you just push it.
Brian, who works for me, does that. He'll fucking catch something in his house, be it like a mouse or any insect or whatever. He'll literally get in his car and drive it down the road and drop it off and then come back, just so it couldn't possibly find its way back.
we have like a lot of wolf spiders at our warehouse. You know, those are like big,
Yeah.
they are pretty
Yeah.
big. And Danny, who runs our fulfillment, she's started taking them home and like starting like a spider farm. And so, yeah. And now whenever there's a spider in the warehouse, people just call her. She comes in, grabs a cup and takes it home. Yep.
That's weird.
Fucking weird.
So
That's
Are you-
concerning.
are you telling me that you're going to have two Dannies at Night Owls?
Yeah, it's really confusing and it's really hard to distinguish between the two sometimes. It used to be we could describe it as our Danny that worked internally, and then Danny Groninger, who was working externally. But now that he is May 1st starting to work here full time, I don't know how we're gonna distinguish them just yet.
Did he move down? Is he from another place?
He's gonna work remote, so he's gonna live. I think he and his family are like living half the year in Denver and then half the year in Phoenix, but mainly he's doing art stuff with Val. So it kind of doesn't matter. He doesn't really need to be here. And then he'll come down probably once a quarter and just like help us fine tune some, production stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
So how did that all come about? Because he was doing some other things. Is he done now and he's just going to work for you, or what's going on?
Yeah. So Val and I have been looking for what we were calling like a print engineer for a really long time. And it's basically like what Val does. The workload for her was just getting too out of control. And basically the best way to describe a print engineer for those that don't know is like, it's someone who's engineering the print to work correctly on press. And so Val is dictating inks, mesh counts, making sure that the separation, once it's done, that things are caught before it goes to press so that it's running smoothly, it's printing correctly, all that stuff. And there is a lot of times during the year where Tony, you guys are probably the same thing. You're going to get back-to-back, like really complicated steps that kind of require someone to pay attention to like what's going on with that step. And it just gets like way too hard for one person to do it. And so we've been looking for someone for a while, and Danny helped us build out the job description and make sure we had it all right. And eventually he just hit me up and was like, hey, like, I think I kind of want to do this if you guys are into it. And we've been a big fan of what he's done for a long time. And so it kind of worked out, and then timing was right. So I think he's closing his shop, and then, he's going to work for us. He's still going to do some like consulting here and there. But generally he's just going to be working with us and doing a bunch of Night Owl stuff. So be cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Going right into Frank, huh? You make Tony do it instead of me.
Tony, you ready?
What am I doing here?
You don't know? Thought you were a fan.
I'm a fan. I missed that part because someone told me that maybe the squeegee washer broke on shipment.
Oh God. He's just
Open-
like sweating right now.
Open box
Oh,
failure.
All right, hit me with it.
Oh,
Frank.
that's a button. Yeah.
You see that's how it's done. I don't try doing it
I don't
either.
watch the show, so I didn't know what you were.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
I only
either.
listened to it audio. I legitimately thought you guys had like a button that
Yeah.
you could press. I didn't.
We do have a button, Eric. You can fuck off. This is a button right here.
Sorry.
Why is it still on the entire pad of like what a
This is how we do it. Okay. You
We've
can-
only been
just
doing
put
it.
that
We've
stack
only
in
been we've only been doing it for 3 years.
And what I can't believe is Dylan actually made stickers of this. I did this during a show one time really fast, and he made stickers that I don't know. It's what it is.
It's a good design.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It all starts with a screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF,
Frank.com.
or
Greatfuckingscreens.com. And we're all Frank lovers here, right? We're all
Yeah,
we're all on Team Frank. All right.
Frankie Frank. I got all my screens from Frank.
he has a palette of ours up there right now. So
How many per pallet are you sending at a time?
this time I know, so normally we can fit 120. It's stacked pretty high. And then also you put them going up, because you can put them inside and then put inside, like all kinds of stuff like that. Well, we only sent 78 though, because
I was going to say I send 80 at a time because I only have a 7-foot door to get them out.
we decided we just really need screens right now. It's just that time of year. And we're like, fuck it. We sent up 78. And also we need a bunch of emulsion. And he sent us a case just to get us by. But yeah, I get emulsion from him too. And then he puts it, so he ships back the frames and the emulsion all at once. It's a beautiful thing.
Cool.
Guys, cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay.
It's the easiest way.
Hell yeah. You know, I feel stupid right now because you guys have these like fucking chalkboard and whiteboard, and Dylan and I are like, we're not very, like, you guys look important. Like
You guys
stuff
are
going on.
in your podcast studio. We're just in our office.
Yeah.
This is my office, actually, right here.
Awkward. Awkward.
Yeah. So I don't know. I do have a whiteboard. It's way over there. I don't use it quite enough. I don't think.
Yeah, but
I mean, if
Eric's
it
is
makes
just
you feel
like
better,
dick
the
drawings.
sticky notes on there have been up there for probably since we talked last time for
Yeah,
like my
it's the same
interview.
ones.
So like it's
Tony's got magnets. Things
These are
like,
yeah, Tony's like the real pro.
Tony looks like a serial killer right now.
Yeah, these
Those are the names of his victims.
Well, you know, there was kind of, I did have to change. When someone would leave, I would take their magnet and put it off on the side like this. And then it started getting long. And I was like, this is a little creepy. Like, I got all these people that used to work here, names like.
you put their names upside down after they leave over to the.
Then I just started taping new names over them. And I said, and you're gone now. And now there's a new.
Fuck, I'm gonna mess this up. But what movie was it? The Adam Sandler movie where he makes friends with the serial killer guy, and then he's like, "Glad I called that guy," and he like puts the
It's
lipstick on.
is
Is it Mr. Deeds?
no, I think it's is it Happy Gilmore?
Oh yeah, it is
It's
Happy
Steve
Gilmore.
Buscemi when he puts the
Yeah,
lipstick on
yeah.
afterwards. Yeah.
That's Tony with his list right now, just crossing people off, and then he puts the lipstick on.
Yep. Nailed
So
it.
if you or your art department could use some love, then you need to go to 1-900hotstuff.com and get in touch with Nick or Lucas
Nick Lucas.
at Graphic Source and let them run your art department so you can focus on running your business.
Yeah. Is that website even still a thing? 1-900
It is.
Stuff?
I
We
was
keep
there
telling
the
people
other
to go
day.
there, so I hope.
No. It is. And they have like free kittens and all that shit up there still.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, here it is.
Choosing the right emulsion for your shop is complicated, and that's why we love Chromaline. Go to chromaline.com to watch all of Kev's vids. Tony, is that your phone? You can answer it.
God, fucking Tony.
No, it's the whole.
Let's hear it. Now we all put it on speaker. Who
It's
is it?
not it's the company. If it rings in my office, then it's a different tone.
So like when somebody calls here, my phone never rings until ring like number 5 or whatever.
Oh,
It's fancy.
nice.
You can program that, if you want.
I like
Where
to
was
count
I?
the rings and make sure people are answering it before ring 4.
What happens
Ring-
after ring 4? If they
He
don't
kicks a
Then I
fucking
pick up.
door in.
Then I pick up and then I walk into the sales office on the phone and I stare at everyone and I go, "What's up? Come on!"
And then he moves their name on the whiteboard over.
Yeah, they start
slowly.
moving over towards the other side.
Just looks, peeks through the door, and slides it over.
So go to chromaline.com to watch Kev's vids or contact him on Instagram at The Emulsion Guru and get the answers you need. If your shop is like ours and you are running more and more DTF,
Or
look at my
screen
new
print
setup,
transfer.
guys. Look at that new setup.
Wow.
Yeah, or screen print transfers. Then you need a partner that can get you quality transfers fast. Check out Howard Custom Transfers at howardct.com. And while you're there, get yourself a sample pack and be sure to get that puff, baby, because we had somebody in here saw that puff and they ordered like 60 shirts.
16 whole shirts. Wow.
Yeah. So like we went home for the day. We're like, sweet.
Pack it up.
Yeah. I said 60.
You just did this to
fucker.
everybody. The guy ordered, and you're like, let's go, guys.
Wrap it
Ice
up.
cream on me.
Calm down.
Yeah. So
This is going to go great.
this is great. So yeah, I love their puff. We do puff here too, but it just sucks mixing it, and it's nice to just have somebody else do it because we have to then
So what
fiddle
is
with
the-
the drum. Tony, come on!
I will.
Seriously?
I'll take the battery. So how does it work? Like the puff is flat,
it's
and then
a specific transfer ink that is puffed, and so much like any other transfer, they gel it, and then when you apply it with the heat press, it
the heat press doesn't just squish it down; it releases and it pops like popcorn or something.
Yeah,
I haven't done.
pops off the pallet.
Does it puff up, or like does it just?
It puffs after you release. It puffs up.
So it like lifts the heat press for you. It just pop.
No,
exactly.
it would be the same as if you're throwing it down the dryer belt, right? Where just over that time with that direct heat, it's just slowly rising. And since it's all,
It's great, Tony. You should try it out.
Yeah.
I might.
Okay. So Andy, you set up the layout of this talk here. Do you want to pitch us the first thing, or we're just going to keep talking about Tony's phone?
Yeah, I think.
Wait, so where do you get the transfers? I missed that part.
Oh my God.
I gotta get one extra plug in there.
I'm gonna mute Tony until we need him. Hold on.
Howard transfers. We interrupted it with my phone.
HowardCT.com.
There
The
you
best
go.
place you could go.
You know what? I'm in charge now. I'm taking over this interview. Forget it.
That's what happened with that. Honestly, that's what happens with everything that I talk to Tony about. He's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm in charge now."
Today we have a roundtable discussion, and
Square table.
it is kind of square. You're right. And we've got Dylan from Upstate, me, and that's as rude here. I'm introducing. I should be introducing you guys first, but me, Andy from Shirkong, Eric Night Owls, and Tony Tinyfish. So, guys, it's been a wild year. For us, it's just come in waves. One week is bananas. The next week it's the opposite of bananas, oranges. Is that a thing? It's probably not a thing. But here we are in April. It's mid-April, April 19th. And we thought that this month is going to forecast the rest of the year. Like here, it's got to it's going to happen now. And whatever happens now will kind of tell us what the rest of the year is going to look like. And so we thought it'd be pretty cool to have like 4 different shops from 4 different markets share what they're experiencing right now, And so I guess we can start it off with my first question is, what are you guys seeing order-wise?
I think it's similar to what you said. There's a lot of like ups and downs. This is the first year that we feel like confident that we can kind of look back and track it year over year. We're still up this year, but I think it's because we kind of started the year with like a larger project. But it just seems like you were saying, it's in waves, right? Like we're going to have, I don't know, I'm constantly running out of work for our production team. And I don't know, I think Dylan, you talked about this, where it's like, you don't know if it's like, are you getting less jobs or are you just
more efficient? Yeah.
And I think it's a mixture of that. So it's been really strange where it's like, I'm not super stressed about money per se. I'm more stressed about what do I do to occupy like our staff's time so they aren't bored and then they want to leave. And then that, makes all these other problems.
Yeah. Tony?
We had kind of a strong whiplash effect, I think, going from, we were down, I think, like I kind of mentioned it in the Discord, but we were down, I think, 20% or even almost 30% going through January, February. So obviously, and then everyone's like, oh, recession. So we got a little nervous. We didn't do some hiring. And then April has just been bananas. And March was bananas. Like it just went straight up. Amount of orders, everything coming in, large orders, some touring stuff, some non-touring stuff. Small business stuff. So it seems that people are still out and about and ordering. We're back to doing overtime. We're back to trying to hire people. So now we're back over last year. So just within a matter of 6 weeks, it just flipped completely. So
what are we seeing as far as markets though that are working and which ones aren't? Because that's what I'm noticing is like certain ones are just like still on the fence if they should spend money or not. And some are like, I guess we'll just fucking do it and see what happens.
I noticed a lot of like we'll call it like our tech type clients. They've really pulled back spending. They're not really spending as much. And so for us, a lot of what is really propelling our business is just a lot of like repeat customers. And mostly it's because we still do a ton of fulfillment. I mean, Tony, I'm sure it's the same for you guys. So it's a lot of replenishment for those stores, and like those clients are still doing. They're probably doing better than they ever have. And a lot of the large programs that we were doing over the past year or two, those have sort of subsided as they've really cut back on whether it be spending or, a lot of kind of the tech software companies we work with, they fired a lot of people. So like maybe they just have less staff. I'm still unclear as to why they're pulling back, but that seems to be what's happening.
Yeah, we're busy in the regular kind of B2B, more traditional companies that are maybe a little more well established. Like all those guys are showing up. We're hearing a lot of the like small events, local events are coming back. They're fully coming back after the whole kind of COVID thing. So the races, the small gyms and stuff like this. So it seems very local for us. It's very local centric. And then still our online guys are the ones that are well established are still seem to be doing well.
I was going to say some of those bigger brands that you're dealing with, Tony, are they up or are they down or are they just kind of staying flat?
The stores that we're managing across the Shopify platform seem to be pretty flat to last year. Some of them started off a little slow, but of the big ones of note, they seem to be pretty flat. They're not. They had a couple of really crazy years going up, but now it seems to have kind of plateaued out.
Yeah. It's nice too, like you were saying, it seems like a lot of events and things are kind of back to normal. Nobody's really thinking of COVID when it comes to shit like that, especially with seeing all this like Coachella stuff. Like it's just masses of people. Eric, are you seeing that like all the band stuff is just back to normal now? They're ordering normal amounts of merch and everything?
Yeah, it's been back for a little bit, but it just seems now like I feel like once everyone kind of slowly came back, things were going crazy with band merch. Like people were selling out left and right. Now it's starting to normalize a little bit more, but there's still like a hunger and a need. People are still going out to shows and events and like really wanting to support by buying merchandise. So we are seeing like big bumps in a lot of that stuff. I've also been talking with a lot of, they're not necessarily contract customers, but they're more like representatives that represent a bunch of different artists and stuff. And it does seem like they're starting to wise up a little bit. And it's like, they don't want to be working with like the cheapest people anymore. They want people that are reliable and that are going to come through, especially as that tour merch or event merch is turning so quickly. They need to be able to rely on their partners to be able to get it out to the tour on time.
Yeah. And that's something I was kind of noticing too, was like pre-COVID, it was like so Wild West on like, oh, this is cheaper. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go through this guy. And like, there's this long, crazy story that me and Chris at Denial have with doing stuff for some of these big comedians. And it was kind of like, this guy's in charge of ordering, but he's adding a markup on top. And then someone else is over here adding a markup on top. And then by the time it gets to the actual artist, it's like it's been marked up like 5 times. Wow. And it's like I feel like none of that shit is going on now after COVID. Like people are wising up and they're like, we're realizing like how much money comes from these things and how important they are to have it done and done right, which leads me into something I wanted to talk to you guys today about and see if like how you thought about it or if you heard about it, was the whole Taylor Swift thing with like all of that merch. Like it has to be crazy numbers of how much merch was sold and the prints are washing off. And then there's this whole Rolling Stone article about how like they're basically sending people replacements or they're, refunding. And reading the article is crazy because, and this was something I didn't think about too, which makes total sense because it's Taylor Swift, is like people were waiting in line for like multiple hours to get a shirt. And then they finally got a shirt that they probably paid like $50 for. And then you take it home and wash it and the print's gone or severely faded. So I just thought it was funny that like, not funny, but like how they handled it was kind of like, I feel like we talk on here about what happens when a customer calls and they complain about something, how you handle it. And, Andy sends cookies and replaces it immediately. It's in his budget, everything else. But it's also like what they said was basically like, you dummies, didn't you like read the care instructions on the shirt? Like that was one of the things they said was like, oh, you should, wash it inside out and on cold and like all this other stuff. And it's like, you're talking to like thousands of customers at one time, being like,
Right.
this is what you should do, you dummy. They're not thinking about that. They just wanted to buy a Taylor Swift shirt. And then,
Yeah.
like,
And
you should just,
at what point too? Because I mean, look, we've all like said that to a customer when there's been an issue, right? Like that's definitely something we've all said. But at what point does it become like more on the responsibility of the manufacturer of it to know, like you're saying, to your point, Dylan, that like that this needs to be kind of dummy proof, right? Like,
yeah,
you need to ensure that nothing is going to happen. And the four of us, as probably as well as like a lot of people listening, I mean, a lot of folks know how to cure a shirt. And so, you know, now it comes down to, was this like, did somebody like screw up, or was it rushed so quickly to try and make it to market?
which is probably the case.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. In my opinion, it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah.
Well, how many markets were affected too? Because she's touring. Was it 3 cities out of 50? Was it?
Well, what the article says is it got to the point that the merch girls running like the selling were telling customers that, hey, the shirts might wash out.
Was it just one design? Usually there's like 15 designs, you know? So
I'm not sure. I just
like, you think you can just pull that design and source like what the problem is. Is it just not cured? Then run it through the dryer again, you know, and fix it like in, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, and then put them back on the truck.
Shipped a company like all the shirts and then like just run them through the dryer. And stuff.
Yeah, run through the dryer. I don't know.
Not to say one side is better than the other, but it's like, you know, Andy, in your situation, your scenario there, like, oh, just like fix it and ship it to like the next show. Like that's millions of dollars of like lost revenue. And so, you know, they're selling these shirts, and yes, they might be defective, but I wonder if there was like a cost analysis done of like, because they have to have a record of everyone that's sold that. Like, there's no way a tour like that isn't collecting all that data, right? And so they should theoretically, in my opinion, they would have some sort of list of who bought that designer or whatever. And I wonder if there was some cost analysis that was just like, well, we can send a replacement out, or we can just wait for people to contact us and we'll send them the replacement out. And then maybe it's like half the orders. They only have to fix half of them. But if they had to pull that design, whether it was for one show or for 3 shows, there's no doubt in my mind it's several millions of dollars of lost revenue. And so for them, I feel like it's probably better to take that gamble on, like, you know, maybe it's a loss.
Only deal with the complainers.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing that's funny about this whole thing is that she just came off of the whole, like, not scandal, but the whole thing with Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
And it was like, you immediately have another issue that's like huge, and it's like being, you know, all over the internet that everyone's shirts are washing out. It was this huge thing on Twitter. It was this whole thing. And I feel like they should have just been like, you know, we'll send out a replacement shirt or something to the people that contact us and have issues or whatever. But I don't know. It just seemed crazy to.
They were probably like, yeah, it's Taylor Swift. We'll see you next year for another $60 shirt. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I just feel like, there's like outrage and scandal that people are paying this much, and it's like, it's quote unquote defective. But ultimately, like, I'm sure at some meeting, someone's like, who fucking cares? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's a blue.
Like, is this girl going to stop being a fan because her shirt washed out? No.
Yeah. And it's like, are they, not only will they stop being a fan, but are they also going to not purchase another shirt? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm probably just easier going, but I would have just worn the shirt, whatever. I wouldn't have cared. And
well, like Eric said, they have everyone's name. If they were working with a big enough vendor, they could probably throw up a return website. You were to go on there and like put in your name, and the system would probably auto match it to like a record of the purchase if it was bought with a credit card. And they could say, yes, this person ordered it, and then send them a new shirt or something. There's probably some system they could create like that if they wanted to. But
and again, I feel like, it sucks and it looks poorly, but it's a blip in their sales. You know what I mean? Like, if it, I don't know all the details, but I think I remember hearing that it was 1 weekend worth of shows, right? And so again, out of the whole tour, if it's just those like 3 dates or 4 dates or whatever it was, it's not. I don't know. I feel like the reaction is probably, oh, there's bad press, we got to get ahead of it. But ultimately, it's going to go away.
But the thing is, us as printers, like I wasn't really thinking of the customer at all. I was thinking of the print shop, like how devastating that would be to be like blasted all over the internet that Taylor Swift shirts are washing out. and you were the one who printed them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, what other big touring acts are going to come to you now after they see this article of like
Depends how you fix
it
it.
washes
Like,
out?
I guess
Did
it
they
depends how
actually
you fix it.
say the shop? I don't think they mentioned.
I don't know. I don't think they did, but I'm just
And
saying that,
I
like,
think at the end of the day, like, look, there's probably only a handful of shops in the US that can handle the volume of something like that quickly, right? And like, we probably know who a lot of them would be. And I'm not going to point fingers or say anything, but ultimately it's like, yeah, it's a fuck up and they're going to fix it. But that's what like errors and omissions of like insurance is for. And ultimately, because there's only a couple of shops that size that can handle things like that, not that they're golden, but it's like they're going to take the slap on the wrist and do what they need to do to get back in the good graces, and all will be well, you know?
as long as they don't get put on blast, I guess.
They just take the Taylor Swift shirt off their wall in the showroom, and they're like, "Who's Taylor?" I've never heard of her.
Never done that. Yeah.
Out in front of my house, the street, not our driveway, but the actual street, they are tearing up and fixing again because so they made our street. There was a crack in, like, a lot of cracks all over. They tore up and replaced the street, and now right in front of our driveway, it cracked again. And they're tearing up and replacing. And I thought to myself, kind of like this, like, you're a concrete company and you send your team out and you pour this giant, real, like a street, and it cracks and you have to repair it. Imagine what that costs, And so do they have insurance too? Because I can't imagine like the suckiness of trying to, like, oh shit, like a third time I've got to go replace a street. It's no good. But back to our, like, what this year is going to look like. We got you two, Dylan and I sort of share from time to time where we're at. But Dylan, what are you experiencing right now?
It's gotten a lot better. We're pretty busy right now. Like, we were for a while there, just like a week out, and now it's more like 2 weeks or so out, which is feeling good. But we talked about in many episodes, we were kind of going through some staff changes and stuff like that. And I feel like we're good now. We got everybody in and on board, and it's been good vibes all week. So I'm pretty stoked on that. And, just getting back to, I feel like I'm just starting to get into the year, and it's the fourth month.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of sucks to think of it that way now that I'm saying it out loud, but it's,
I guess,
better
but
than
like
what it was. Yeah.
Like with Tony, though, maybe it comes back strong. A lot of those customers, maybe they were just holding off, and now they just flood you with orders, and your numbers even out, in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure. But here in St. Louis, the weather plays a big role in when certain people, start to place orders. Maybe not so much in Houston because you don't freeze down there. I guess you do now these days.
Yeah,
you don't freeze, typically
Earth is
freeze.
shifting.
Well, in St. Louis, we had skipped spring. Today it's 80 something, like it's 82. It should be probably 65. And so we have all the doors closed. We had them open in the morning, but now we have all of our doors closed, AC on, because it's hot. And so we're having those different kind of customers place orders. And some other clients is a national brand, and they held off. Like, they weren't sending us stuff in January, February, and then they started sending us shirts again. And so they're going out to all sorts of retail locations, and I see that as a really great sign. The numbers are slightly down what they're sending, but at least they're sending it. And so that's a positive. And then, sort of like what you guys, we have, or at least with Eric, we have a couple of orders that are unique, I think, because St. Louis has a new soccer team, and St. Louis has the Battlehawks, a new XFL thing, and we're doing a lot of stuff for that, and that's unusual. And so if I subtracted those couple of things, I'm not sure. I'd be interested to see like where we would be at. But I pulled numbers, and Q1 is done officially in the books. A couple of weeks ago, we were down 5.5% on the year, which isn't too big of a deal. I thought in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, we're down, or we got to be down 20% or something, but it was only 5.5%. And so I was happy with that. And I feel like right now we're so busy. We have so many shirts in our shop right now that we'll probably make that up by the end of April. So I don't know. Are you guys feeling like extra stuff coming now that maybe didn't come earlier?
Not really for us. I mean, I don't know. Our business is weird. It's, we are in Houston. Houston's like the 4th largest city in like the continental US. And so for us, most of our clients are outside of the state of Texas. And so we kind of ebb and flow a little bit, specifically with like touring stuff. And I know we have a lot of tours happening in the fall that we're like kind of getting ready for and people are starting to plan for. But just like day-to-day stuff, it's just kind of all over, whether it's like Tony was saying, like B2B or even like retail stuff. The weather here doesn't, as far as I can tell, play too much of a part in terms of like what people are ordering. But then our shop is weird too, where we kind of exist in this weird, like Dylan, you guys are kind of the same. You exist in this like weird, like little niche bubbles, different segments. And there's almost like no predictability in when that stuff's going to happen.
None. Yeah.
And when it happens great. And when it doesn't happen, almost every time there's like someone to pop in and replace it. But so it's just kind of steady and stable. And like year over year, we've been up like, I think the highest we were up was about 28%. Now we're leveled at, we're up 20% from last year. So we're still trending good, but day to day, we definitely have way less jobs.
Yeah, we talked about this for a second, but it was just kind of like Eric, you said you're not super concerned with the money. Like if I was to just give it a real quick one sentence, like how I feel about this slowness and all this other stuff, it has nothing to do with the money. It has nothing to do with paying bills because I have like no overhead and like everything's pretty good. It's honestly just finding shit for my employees to do when we're slow. That's like literally my number one concern. After that, it's like, okay, cool. Like I'll just work on some projects I've been wanting to work on. Like I'm not like, oh my God, I got to get another job in or we're going to lose the shop. It's just, okay, it's a little slow. Like, well, let's just chill more than normal.
How do you mentally do that? So like, how do you offload all of the stress and pressure of your expenses? I know you said I
don't have any.
Well, you do. But
but I have like electric and gas bill, but the electric and gas bill is less if we're printing less. We're just not using as much. And if my employees aren't working, I mean, if some of them are taking a short week or whatever, then my payroll is lower, but I'm only paying them when we have orders. So it's like, I have property tax, but it's fucking like $3,000 a year. Like my building's paid for, my equipment's paid for. Like the only bills I have are like my internet, electric, and gas.
And I mean, we have a ton of bills. Like it's stuff that, I think about all the time, but ultimately with the orders still coming in that are coming in, we're able to cover all that stuff. And so kind of what Dylan was saying is like, it weighs on me that my staff doesn't necessarily have anything to do. And then maybe their hours are going to be reduced because we just don't have anything for them. And that starts to get stressful because I feel like we have a really good team and we have a really, really good culture right now. And I don't want that to stop. And if they're not making their hours or they're feeling like this is really boring, I'm not like doing what I should be doing at this work, I'm going to go and find a new job, then that starts to snowball into a very big problem. So we've tried to, I mean, our staff, they're well aware of sort of the ebbs and flows of what happens in this industry. And from doing this for almost 20 years, I'm sure you guys are the same, right? It comes in waves and then it's going to bounce back. And then everyone's going to be wishing that we could give them time off instead of making them work 60 hours a week. So they've been pretty cool about it. But we also, again, we have to pony up and just be like, hey, maybe we don't have anything to do tomorrow. Instead of making you come in, we're just going to either pay you like a full day or half day. And we're going to just get stuff prepped for next week for you.
That was going to be my next question is, are you guaranteeing 40 hours, at this point? Because it's difficult, I think, when you have salary mixed with hourly and salary is getting their 40 and then there's hourly who are in production, let's say, and some that are hourly in production. And I feel terrible them not getting their 40, especially because they still have rent and they still have a car payment and kids and things like that. And so we decided this year that we're guaranteeing it, you have an option if you want to go home early. Yeah. If we run out of work, which hasn't happened, but it's been a couple months. But it's really...
We also tell people too, like if there's other departments outside of like production that need help. And, if we're going to send people home early, you have the choice of going home early, or if you want to go help in fulfillment if they need something, or maybe we need to do like a deeper clean on the press that we haven't done in the past 2 weeks. Like you can stay and take care of that. Right. Some people choose to, some people don't.
So knowing that our business is, you said you're up 20%. Tony, you're about flat now because you've made up some ground, I guess.
I think we're only 4% last I checked.
Okay. And knowing that, I guess, Dylan, for you, the only thing that stresses you out is your labor costs. Are you hiring right now? Is that a thing you're going to do? Like Tony said, typically they're hiring a bunch in the spring, but they sort of pump the brakes on that. Are you hiring?
We were
now?
Down 8 people through Q1 from our peak last year, and we didn't replace any of them. So then we kind of waited, and then we had that whipsaw kind of whiplash of work come in. So now we're kind of like on our heels trying to hire. So we actually hired 4 people last week, and we're probably hiring 2 more. We have 2 more offers to make this week. So we just we brought on 6 people basically in the last 2 weeks. And we're going to try to hold there, but it's so busy. I think we'll probably add. But yeah, we waited because we were slow.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to make up time.
I've heard from multiple people in like DMs and stuff, like just talking about the way things are right now, that a lot of them are saying that they let a couple people go because of whatever reason, toxicity, or just they were slow and decided to lay some people off. And they're noticing they're doing the same amount of work, if not more, with less people because they had overhired.
Yeah.
So
we
noticed
right?
that. Yeah.
You get slammed and you're like, there's no way we have enough bodies to kind of help with all these things. And then so you overhire, and then you have people sitting around, and kind of to our point, we're putting out more product than we ever had before. We've gotten more efficient. Maybe you don't need as many people now. Again, our case usage is different than a lot of other shops because of the way that we print. It does require more people involved. So production side or company wide, we're pretty good. We did just make 2 really large hires with Danny Gruninger, and then I brought my friend Zane on to help handle a lot of like promo sales for us. And so those are really, really major hires for us. And then we're looking at bringing on like a shipping person, and then I think another QC person because we have someone leaving. But I've always been of the mindset, if there's the right person available, and we've been really lucky the past couple of years where we can afford to hire people when it's slow, let's do it. And that way it gives them training time. Mm-hmm. So when we are busy, we're not having to do work and train at the same time. And that's been something we've done for, the past 2 or 3 years, and it's worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah. Andy, I have another topic if we can get into another one, or do you want to go?
Yeah. What do you got?
Well, I was reading through the Discord stuff, and Tony had actually said this one is social media. Is it worth it? I know, Eric, you kind of have like someone running social media. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's somebody else. Tony, you kind of have a guy too that's kind of doing some social media stuff. I don't know if you're seeing now if that's worth it or not, but that's something for me too. Is like I had a talk with some of the people here, and I was like, honestly, I fucking dropped the ball on it for a while, and I haven't posted much at all. And then I feel like now that I'm trying to like outbound and stuff, I'm like, maybe I should try social media harder again. And so like, if you guys can get me content, put it in like the drive, I'll just pick and choose shit I want to use and post and talk and whatever. What are you guys thinking? Like, what's the vibes on that? Are you feeling like it's even worth it anymore? Or is it, we're just doing it to do it because we feel like we have to, or what?
I mean, I'm all in. Give me all the TikToks. Give me all the Instagram. I still don't think there's a better place to get the message out, especially for us locally. And we could do targeted ads if we want to, or we can just highlight small businesses that our marketing has always been very Rochester centric. And we get out in the community, we go out to various other shops, we get to show the work from local people we do. We just brought on that social media guy as a contractor. Pay him a couple $100 a week. He comes in a couple days, shoots some videos, and he's been doing a great job. So, but it's been what made our business from the beginning. So I don't see any reason why to stop, even if the organic reach is not what it used to be, or the click through, or the way they do the inboxes is like a real pain in the butt now. Like, I still don't see why you would stop. I don't like, what am I going to do? Radio commercials and like the penny saver, and like, it's just not, I don't see that happening.
Just a big billboard on the highway.
I feel like you're like me though, Tony. We both love diners. We should just do the diner mats.
I just did diner mugs for my favorite diner in town. So we put Tiny Fish on one side and we gave them all the mugs. So that, because I like that, but that's local for us. I'm not going to do that like across the United States.
Yeah. No, I know.
But also that was ever good Jeff's question, just to clear that. The social media, is it worth it? I mean, he's on there all the time too. He's got to see results from that.
Yeah, my thing is like, I feel like if you would have asked me this question like 4 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, 80% of my business comes from social media and like all this other stuff. Like, cause that's where we got a lot of like the kind of clients that we have is from social media. And I feel like over the last 3 years, I like rarely get somebody that came off of Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Facebook's a fucking barren wasteland for me. I could care less if I'm down there at all. But Instagram used to be nonstop. It was just like DMs of orders and I want to work with you and blah, 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 blah. And that was great. But then I feel like we just got to the point where we weren't seeing a lot of results from it. And I was just kind of like, I'm still on here being social and talking to people, but I feel like I'm rarely posting something. Andy had the same thing. You said you made your first post in like a year, not that long ago. Like you used to be on there constantly.
Like you and like a lot of us, a lot of our business came from social media years ago. And I think now it is gross. It's oversaturated. The reach is shit. It's just a lot of the same. And I'm incredibly over it. And I think that when you said you put your mugs, you put your logo on mugs and gave them to a diner, I'm all in on that. So like I'm basically off of social media and I'm looking at new different things. And I really like that sort of stuff. I want to go old school. I want to do it sort of that sort of thing. I guess it wouldn't make sense for Dylan and maybe Eric too, if your business isn't local, but I mean, why not try other stuff? I think it's going down on like on maybe LinkedIn and stuff like that. There's so many connections there and also you would stand out if you went on a social platform like a LinkedIn differently than if you're just like every other sorry if this hits somebody wrong, but every other screen printer that shows the squeegee go whoop over a screen. I don't know.
I think that's just it though. Doing something different. If you go do what everyone else is doing on the thing that everyone else is doing it, then why do you expect to get different results than everybody else?
Exactly. And that's why Mario at
Cagehead guy or whatever, right? The
Cagehead, and he has his shirt off and he's spinning on top of a manual press.
You were so hung up with him and no shirt.
Because why? Because people fucking watch that. Because they stop and they watch it. No matter what your body looks like, doesn't matter. Dude doesn't have a shirt on and he's standing there spinning on that's something that stands out.
But I think all this goes back to, and forgive me, I don't remember if Dom said it on the Shirt Show podcast or if I talked to him in person, but Dom from Superior, like he said something and that hit home to me where he's like, all we're doing is just promoting to other screen printers. Like exactly. Even with Night Owls, I mean, we have a lot of really cool customers that we work with and we're able to promote that stuff. But like generally most of the content that we're making is, I hate to say, it's just us showing off to other screen printers. Right. And so it's like, well,
all the comments and likes and everything you get in the DMs about it are all other printers.
Yeah, but that legitimizes your shop. So if a customer is coming, scrolling through and they find a post that you made and it has a bunch of likes and a bunch of comments, you think like, oh, wow, that's an engaged shop and they're with it and it looks like they know what they're doing. It looks like they're having fun. I'm going to go there and buy some shirts.
You're correct, but it's, to the conversation of sales, we still get a lot of people that come to us from Instagram just from seeing our work, right? And so we've kind of slowed down a little bit because whether it's been me or Val or Tim, like we're sort of out of ideas of like, okay, what do we need to do? And then
what can we do differently? Yeah.
And then it's like, again, I'll use Dom because I think his videos are really, really funny. Even like Seth, when he's doing printed thread ones, they're so different.
Seth's are my favorite. The Pantone ones.
And it just speaks to the creativity of the industry. But in order to do a video like that, we have a friend that helps us with videos and it's like a month-long process to like basically storyboard it out and then like get everyone on like involved, carve out the time to do it. And so it becomes this other job that like that we don't necessarily like, that's not who we are. We're screen printers, but now all of a sudden we have to like be like content makers. And that's like what makes it really hard. And quite honestly, myself, I've gotten really burnt out on it. And that's why I don't typically post more than like stories. And I do have people here like do a lot of the interaction aside from DMs on Instagram, but it's because I'm tired of just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. I get it.
I just think you're all a bunch of babies. Get on there, make a bunch of videos. Don't overthink it. Like we started doing those Mike Corner videos. Did a few of those recently where it's just our sales rep talking like, hey, welcome to Mike's Corner. And it's goofy music and a font overlay. I think it took them like 10 minutes to make it. And it's gotten a ton of
Those
organic
are great,
reach.
by the way.
Yeah, people are reaching out to us. Oh, I saw that Mike's Corner video. When's the next Mike's video? And it's local. Again, it's a lot of local people.
Yeah.
And we haven't even started boosting these videos yet. But I don't know. It's marketing. So hire a marketing person if you're burned out on it. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And
Get out there.
enough, I did send your Instagram account to our social media person and said, hey, we got to catch up. I did that earlier today. So
Yeah.
But I would
I think
also
it's-
say, I would also add that you're supposed to market where people are paying attention. And if you ask anybody what their time is, like you can look on your phone and say, how many hours did I spend on Instagram? How did I spend on Facebook? Whatever. If you ask anyone, all of their numbers are down. Ask your kids. Your kids are too young. Ask
Where's better? What's better? They're on their phone 9 hours. What is better than the phone right now? Like you said, billboard, maybe diner mug, I guess. Like
but it also
radio
depends
ad.
on the clientele you want. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I would never do a billboard in Houston because, in my opinion, that's going to attract maybe 1 out of 100 will be a customer that we want, but the other 99 are going to be like, hey, let me
Shitty
get
clothing
one
line.
shirt, or I have my sister's quinceanera next week. Like we in Houston, I don't know about you guys. There's a lot of funeral shirts that are made. We don't dabble in that, but
Andy or Tony brought that up for the first time I've ever heard that ever.
That
Who
was
the fuck
Tony.
is a
weird
funeral
concept to
shirt?
me when it came up. Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing is we drove to lunch today, and me and Bill does a lot of the video stuff too. And we were talking about this, and I was like, we're talking about content. That's why I kind of sparked this and wanted to bring this up, was kind of like what you were saying, is just like, I feel like a lot of the stuff we were making was kind of like just showing off for other screen printers, or it was just like stuff that screen printers would like, not necessarily customers. And I told him, and I was like, I think what I want to do is I just want to start making content that is 100% focused on the customer. Like, I don't care if another screen printer sees it and it's just like boring to them. And they're like, I don't want to hear about the difference between plastisol and water base and like all this other shit. But it's just like, we need to do stuff that's like educational for the customer to be like, we can do this. And this is how and whatever. And I just need to get that out of my mind of like, it doesn't need to be flashy and showing the press move and all this other stuff. It just needs to be like information the customer wants to see that makes them go like, I want to order from them.
To Eric's point, you got to figure out where the audience is that you want to reach. You got to figure out what the content is they want to see. Early on, I learned that with Instagram. I started with like, hey, this is how you flash a platen or warm up your platens to get the right. And I'm like, who cares about this? But other
The
printers,
customer doesn't give a shit. Yeah.
right. And I don't want to, I love all my printer friends, but I don't want to attract them really to my page. What I do want to show is the cool new puff technique and then get 3 DMs about, yo, let me get those 16 puff shirts, like that's.
Well, then I would say,
You're stealing his business.
then I would say, story is king. And that's why Instagram is called story. And then I guess what I'm saying is you need to tell your story. You need to tell the story of the new, and we do. So we need to tell our story about, hey, we got this new puff and it's fucking awesome. And we can sell you 16 shirts. That's the story. And we need to just not say that. We need to show you like the story of how we do it, And so I think
there's a few things to that too. Sorry to interrupt you. But
Yeah.
Like, I know, like Andy, like you have Kyle, right? And we have Tim, our production manager at our shop. And it's like our posts kind of made them like these weird, like rock stars in the screen printing industry, like much like you guys, right? Like people know who you are. People want to come up and talk to them. Like, hey, like I saw you on Instagram, and like that does tell a story. It tells a story of a community of people that like what they do. And that is like really important. And then you brought up LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn a lot for this very reason. And I think LinkedIn is a really good sales tool, especially in this context of like showing off, like Tony was saying, like, here's this really cool puff print, because the average person on LinkedIn has never seen that before. But what I found with LinkedIn, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but what I found is like that stuff only works if you're connected to the right people to see it. So like I have a lot of our customers or people that I hope to be customers, or just like other like business people on LinkedIn that I'm like connected with. And when I post that stuff, now it's exposing them to a manufacturing process they've never seen. And I found that that's been really good, but it's still really hard to engage with them or get sales, because they're typically very like they have a very high bullshit like detector, and it's either very like salesy people that are there or just people that like do not want that sales conversation.
I get it. And I just brought up LinkedIn because, everybody goes to Instagram for this. And so it's the saturation level, I think. So if you're on LinkedIn and you're doing some of the same stuff, and maybe it's a little different because it's LinkedIn geared, it's geared towards that, you may have some success. I'm still exploring it, trying to figure it out. And
there's a furniture store right in front of me, tiny little furniture store. And he came in the other day, he's a little older, and his market is obviously different than my market. So he was saying he sells a lot of surplus furniture to older crowd. And he only uses Facebook, and he crushes it on Facebook because that's where the market is. So again, like Eric said, and like I think what we're saying is just you got to find the right social media. Yeah. You got to make content that's compelling to the people you're trying to reach out, whether it's LinkedIn or TikTok or Instagram but it is still social media. Even the YouTube and what you guys are doing with Shirt Show, I think it's still, you just got to tailor it right. You got to tailor it right, and you got to you just don't do what everyone else is doing. If you can, try to make it a little different and stand out.
Yeah.
So on this note, I have some hypotheticals for you. You have 1 hour. How much time do you spend on marketing, sales, and how much time do you spend on efficiencies in your shop?
I mean, the easy one is 50-50, right? Half and half. But I've always ebbed and flowed. So I will go overboard with operation stuff for like too long. And then I'll get kind of like burned out on that. And I'm like, oh, we got to get back to the sales side of things. So my first few years was all kind of sales. Like anything I can get. Then it spent a few years like really working on operations. This year is all operations for me. Like I'm just, the whole board behind me, the whole rotation of the staff. So right now my answer would be operations. But I think ultimately, if you get sales, there's like someone said it was like there's nothing sales won't fix. Like you need to get the people in the door. Even if I've seen a lot of really dysfunctional shops be somewhat successful just because they're getting customers in the door, like get them in the door and then you can worry about fixing it or hiring someone to help you fix it, getting a consultant.
Sub it out, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm personally working on operations, but I think the real answer is put as much effort into sales if you're trying to be direct to the end user. If you're trying to be a contract shop, I would probably spend it all on operations.
You're saying the real answer is 100% sales and marketing?
I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan.
Eric, where are you with this?
It goes, in my opinion, either way. And I think like Tony, like what you said is exactly what I was going to say, because it's like a Jeffrey Paul thing. That's where I first heard it. It's like, if you have sales, you can fix whatever, right? There's not a problem with that. And so it's almost like you spend all of your time doing sales so that you can hire someone to help you with efficiency, or you kind of flip flop it, right? Like you basically spend all of your efficiency so you free up time so that you can go make sales.
Yeah.
So it can go either way. I don't necessarily think one is better than the other, but without sales, you can't do anything. You can't grow, you can't expand, you can't fix problems.
Dylan?
Yeah, I was going to say, before Tony even spoke, I was going to say that I feel like it would change throughout time. Like in the beginning, I was hard in sales, and then I stepped back and took the money from those sales and bought better equipment. And then I worked hard on efficiencies to make that equipment and everything the most efficient I could. And then I went back to going hard into sales. And then kind of where we were at now, where this whole discussion of me was just kind of like, I feel like we have more than enough capabilities with production and we could be doing way more stuff. I just need to up sales. That's why we have hired Kevin. And that's why we have all this other stuff we're working on and everything, is because I feel like we could probably output twice as much of the shit we're doing, but we're not. We're just kind of like cruising along because sales needs to catch up.
Yeah, so we're right there with you. It's the same thing where we've relied so heavily on just the phone ringing, us not having to call anyone. And now we're at that point where like, yeah, we have that extra capacity. Let's start reaching out to people.
Exactly.
Trying to close stuff.
Yeah.
We're in a good situation too, where I have an awesome inside sales team led by Sandy on our team. And that gives me the luxury to focus back a bit on operations. But if it wasn't for them up there, I would probably be all still in the sales. And like Eric was saying, find someone really good to come in and help with the efficiencies.
Yeah, I asked that question because I see so much conversation. I would say that efficiencies and equipment and that sort of stuff dominates Facebook groups and Discord and everything else. And there's less talk about sales and marketing. I mean, I think people are worried so much about.
Nobody wants to share that shit either.
Share what?
Nobody wants to share the sales, like how to get more sales, because that's everyone's bottleneck. That's everyone's issue. Everyone's more than willing to share all their trade secrets when it comes to printing. But nobody wants to be like, this is exactly how I get my great sales and customers.
And so I kind of want to throw a question out to you guys. And if we need to come back to it, that's fine. But it's like, I feel for us, we're entering 13 years in business as Night Owls. And so it's like, now I finally feel like we're starting to grow up and become like a grown-up company, right? Like we're not garage printers. We have all the tools and shit that we need. We know what we're doing. But now how do we like dial in sort of the back end things, and sales is part of that. And Andy, to your point on Facebook, right, where it's like, it drives me insane when I see, and I don't mean to call anybody out, when they're like, hey, like, just letting you know, we're ready to accept contract printers, like contract deals now. Like we have an auto, and it's like, man, everyone is ready to accept contract printers. Like you're advertising to the wrong people. And to go back to what we were saying, it's like, know the crowd that you're advertising to. And that stuff is just so tricky to navigate. I don't know. That's just my take on that.
Yeah, we just did an episode before this one that'll come out next week where it was just me and Andy, and we were just kind of like heart to heart and talking about our own shit and what's going on. And that was like most of it for me was just like, been doing this since 2009, and I'm finally at the point where I'm like exactly what you said. Like it's time to grow up. Like we've been fucking Wild West for so long. Like we were good, things were all right, but like shit wasn't exactly like professional when it came to like how we manage things and having all the employee handbook shit and like the OSHA stuff and all this other stuff. It's just kind of like my goal this year is to just like get as much of that in place as possible to where I feel more grown up when it comes to this company. So I feel you on that for sure.
We just grew up yesterday, and I signed like 1 zillion pages worth of documents for 401k.
There you go.
Awesome.
And
For offering it to your staff.
Yep.
Yeah, we did that last year, and it's a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
dollars? Oh yeah, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Well, the
Did you
401k
do a
is
4% match?
3.
I did 4.
Why did you guys decide 401k over like the simple IRA or even a simple 401k? Not that we want to bore everyone to sleep, but
Probably the sales guy that I was talking to, but
exactly.
I mean,
I was going to say they pitched me on what it was, and I was like, "Fucking do it."
Our CPA, because we did it, I think in 2018, and our CPA at the time, we now have a new one. She was like, "You're at this point where like you probably need it for like
money.
You and Val," and then she's like, "You should probably start offering it to your employees." So we just said, "Fuck it," and we did it. So yeah.
Did you
The biggest pitch for me,
Eric? You were 401k as well?
Yeah.
The biggest pitch for me, the reason why they said you should do this is, one, I wanted to have some kind of benefit for my employees that wasn't the normal, like, time off and PTO and all this other stuff, but was mostly like, we need to spend more money. They were like, you need to find ways to fucking spend money because you've ran out of things to buy. And like, even last year, like I didn't think about it, but normally I would buy some big piece of equipment. And I kind of held off because I was like, oh, I want to look into this more. Like, just like you, Eric, we were talking about the laser and like the different options and everything. So I held off. I didn't buy one last year. So now they're like, hey, we just like finished your taxes. You're going to owe X amount of money. And it's been a while since I've had to owe a lot.
Us you.
And then they were like, oh, you owe a lot. And I was like, God damn it. So like the whole thing with the 401 was just to be like, honestly, it's great for the employees, but realistically for me, it's a way to dump a fuckload of money. And I'd rather give it to them than to the government is like the long and short of it.
A couple things with 401k though, the monthly costs are deductible, and you can expense them obviously. And so there's like, I think that the way it was presented to me is that anything that it costs us, we'll make it back. And also, like you said, you and Val, and also you, Dylan, I mean, yeah, I can also contribute to that. And it'll save me some taxes.
We looked at it too as like, what's another perk that we can start offering potential candidates to come and work here. And
Or keep them.
we're never going to have corporate money. We're never going to have like startup or tech money. But at the same time, it's like, what's going to differentiate us from the print shop down the street? If someone really wants to be a screen printer in Houston, I mean, within a mile, there's probably 30 shops that they can go to, right? So what can differentiate us aside from like, we're really good at what we do and we're printing a different way? Well, not only do our staff have health benefits and PTO, but now we have a 401k. I shared in the Discord, we signed everybody up for this service called One Medical. It's like add-on, like health insurance type deal, right? And it's like no cost to them for that. And so we just keep trying to find extra perks to incentivize people to stay here. So, or even come on board. So that when they are here, they want to stay here and they want to do a good job because they're proud of their work and they feel like they're being taken care of.
Yeah. The other thing too, when I brought up 401k and I was thinking of my employees, I was like, there's only going to be like one or two people probably that are going to want to take advantage of this and want to dump money into it and fix their match and all this other stuff. Literally every employee signed up for it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. This wasn't my idea to add. So a few people came to me and I discovered also during a couple performance reviews and they mentioned it. And so I'm like, oh, it wasn't even on my radar. I didn't even really think about like, this is important to me. It was like, oh shit, I've got this whole other administrative thing I've got to manage now. And I don't want that on my plate also, but it's really cool because right through ADP, it's just done. They, the people who work here control what they contribute. It's all on them and it's just automated. I don't do anything. And so, Eric, I think you hit on like really the biggest reasons is I think now it's just more competitive than ever. And if you want to keep, and if also you want to have people join your team, it's an awesome benefit. I love it. I have another hypothetical.
Real quick, I would mention anyone that is looking into a retirement plan for their staff, if you're under 100 people, should just look into the simple IRA because the costs are going to be a lot less to set up and to manage. The amounts you can put into it are less, but for a lot of people that they're not going to reach the 401k kind of contribution level max. So our company went with a simple IRA. That's what we do. And you have to do a 3% match and that one at the minimum. So you can weigh it all out, but you can search stuff on the internet and there's no right one. But
I'd also say like talk to CPA and like what is going to be the most beneficial for you. Cause I'm that stuff is so foreign to me and I kind of, that's why you guys are talking about this and I'm like, yeah, I did it, but that's as far as I know. Yeah, like I don't fucking care or know. And like people are always like, how do you not want to know this stuff? Your CPA is probably like raping you on this and this. I'm like, dude, the company runs and I deal with screen printing and I don't give a fuck. Like I have my money. They are just running everything for me. And they just give me a piece of paper on Wednesday that says, have this in your bank account. Like that's as far as it goes for me.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was reading through these, which I didn't really read through when I was docu-signing with this guy, all these contracts, I kept telling him like, I'm fucked. Like I know that I'm fucked. I'm going to be like a human centipede here, like tomorrow. my life is done. All right. Next hypothetical. You get a massive new client. Do you add space, equipment, and team? Or do you take advantage of existing equipment and press idle time? And I guess overtime.
I'm all for don't spend the money if you don't have to. I mean, just because you get that new client doesn't mean you're going to wow and impress them. What happens if you get on board and things start going south real fast? If you get overwhelmed, I mean, most printers can reach out. We're in an unfortunate position where I can't really contract shit out to people because no one is matching what we're doing half the time. So like contract stuff out if you can, or I mean, Tony, you do extra shifts all the time, right?
Love that OT, baby.
Yeah.
Sign up.
It's like it's much cheaper to do overtime than have a note for new equipment and get new space. And like, I don't know about you guys in your cities, but like space is really expensive.
I was gonna say, as soon as you said space, that was my number one stressor with a big customer is space. Is like that would be my number one thing to figure out.
I mean, Tony, you've been looking for a new warehouse for how long? And then like,
I'm on year 4.
Yeah. I mean, we just started construction on a warehouse and our property. I've been working on it for 3 years. And I started on Wednesday.
Yeah. Eric, tell us about retention ponds.
They're a lot of money and they collect water. and the city of Houston makes you have them, and that's all I know about them.
Cool. Yeah. I think that I asked that because before we came on, it was lunch here, and I walked back to get something, and I had 3 autos sitting there printing nothing for 1 hour. And I was just like, if we got a new client that just buried us with work, I would just be creative on press idle time. Like we'd come in early or stay late or come in on a Saturday. Like we're closed on the weekends. That's 2 days times 4 weeks. That's 8 days a month. Those presses are sitting there doing nothing.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got B shifts, you got C shifts, you got all kinds of shifts you can work. And like Eric said, do you really want to lock yourself into a bunch of fixed like commitments for a customer that you don't really know how it's going to pan out? I mean, we've done a little bit of that. Like we grew our shop to meet the needs of a couple of customers, but we had a good amount of work already. So we knew we would be able to afford these additions. So the customer ended up kind of putting us over that edge. But I don't think we've ever been like, oh, XYZ customer, get the new building, get the new prints. We're going to really just service this one guy. And
do you think you're answering that because right now it's not bonkers? Like it's the weird inflation, recessions type stuff like last year. So rewind 1 year. Would your answer be the same?
I mean, we're bonkers, and I have the problem right now. I mean, we have really good opportunity with a big national chain of stuff. And we may go to their conference, we may do all this stuff, but I'm not rushing any more than I already was to try to find more space. And we have subbed stuff out to other shops in the past if we're really in a pinch. So I'll go to overtime first. I'll go to sub out after that. And last would probably be to expand. Like when there's just no hope left, that's probably the expansion and buy more equipment.
I think the other part of this though too is that we're all saying what we're saying because we've been in it for so long and we've done it for so long. I feel like all of us are like, nope, let's outsource or let's try to keep costs low and do this, try to figure out how to do this work. And it was funny, like me and Andy, we talked about this a little while ago with me doing that Shark Tank thing with all these college kids. Mm-hmm. And it was like their answer to everything, to what they wanted to get the shark money, the investor money for, was to buy a warehouse and buy all this equipment and hire like 3 times the amount of employees. I shot down every single one of them so hard. I was like, that's the dumbest fucking idea. Like the last thing you want to do is just go dive into an industry you know nothing about and buy all this stuff and then hope it works out. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, I feel like when you're young in business, you're like, oh, I got to get this, square footage matters and the amount of employees matters. And it's like the older I get and the more I do this, I'm like, nope, the smaller amount of area I can do it in, the best equipment I can fit in there, and the least amount of employees. Like
there's just so much extra headache that comes with having to install all that stuff too. Like, I mean, for us, we bought a second oval last year and installed in September. And we did that because we were maxing out, quote unquote, maxing out our capabilities with our current staff on our current oval that we had. And so we bought it as like a redundancy so we could not be locked in. If we had, oftentimes we'd have days where we would have like 15, 12 color jobs and we only had one press we could do it on. And so we brought this other press in so we could, make different shifts and different teams that could help out with that. But it's like, if you're expanding not only your space, your equipment, it costs us, I think, $60,000 to install the electrical for that one press, right? Like, and granted, now this is a big boy press, so there's something to be said about that. But like, there's other things aside from just equipment that you have to consider. It's your electrical needs, your gas needs, your insurance needs, your employees. I mean, if you're going to try and just buy extra equipment to have other presses running, it's still really hard to find printers and good printers at that point. I don't know. I kind of just look to Tony and see whatever he's doing, because I always feel like Tony and Tiny Fish is like the next evolution of like where I want our company to go. And I see how creative they're constantly getting, utilizing what they have. So they're maximizing their efficiency, their equipment, their time. And it's
that thing right behind him is what changes it for all of it right there.
I don't agree with it at all, but I like watching what he's doing.
Well, and I I've always, and this is stressful for staff, right? But I've always overworked to some extent. I'm packing the production schedule, and over there, we don't have enough resources to really ever meet the demand of the stuff. We were always under resourced in a way. And I've spent the last probably year developing this circuit, writing a thing that we onboard people is describing overtime, why overtime is important to us, how it helps us balance production schedules, what, all the ups and downs of what overtime is. And then just a thing about growth. And I'll put it in the Discord so people can check it out and read it. But I walk people through, and I just try to create a culture of like understanding that when things are slower, let's take our time, let's take those days off, let's get our shit done that we need to do. And when things are busier, it's easier for us to add one extra day of overtime than go hire 3 people that we now have to carry through the whole year, or do the temp model where you bring in all these temp people that kind of can, I don't know, wash away the culture a little bit. They come in, they go out. That's not the vibe we want. So I'd rather be too busy and understaffed, I guess, in a way, and then just try to meet the demand with the overtime. So trying to get people.
Ask a side question, Tony? Like, does your staff, like, do they ever not complain, but is anyone ever worried, like in the slower times where, like, when you're doing so much overtime, they're obviously getting paid time and a half and all this stuff, right? And they're starting to make pretty decent money for the most part. Do people get upset when there isn't overtime because things are slow?
The newer culture, I don't know yet, of this new crew, but up until maybe this new crew, we never had a single person that ever asked to make up their hours. Like if we were like, hey, we're going to be slow Friday, we're going to do a half day, they would just take that like, yeah, sweet, half day.
Yeah,
Friday.
exactly.
Like, woohoo, peace. But there are now, the way we've been doing our rotations and the kind of grading of the staff and moving them into the positions, the people that continuously volunteer for the overtime shifts, those are the people that are getting kind of like the press operator positions, this type of positions. And these people will sign up for like the Tuesday, the Saturday. They don't care what shift it is. They're signing up. So I don't know. We were fortunate enough to have super slow times. I think this time around they took it in stride. They're like, whatever, I'm not getting my overtime. But I think if it was a long period where there's no overtime, we've started to create this culture where they really want the overtime. Because
have you run the numbers? Are you still profitable in overtime?
Yes.
Same for us. I mean, we run 410s, and I would say the majority of last year we had some staff working 5 days a week printing, and even with that overtime, I mean, we were, I think, 30 to 40% higher than the year before. So, like, yeah, it was not overtime just for the sake of overtime. Like, we had work that we had to get out, and then our mentality has always been, and I don't know if it's just like because we work with touring like clients for so long, but it's just like, if there's an opportunity for us to jump in and do something and we have to stay an extra hour or 2 hours later to do it, we're going to do it, because that means the sooner we get those jobs out, the sooner they're going to sell through them, the sooner they're going to reorder more. And that's proven successful over and over again.
Do you price it into your cost though? Do you price that extra labor in?
Like sometimes there's rush fees, but generally speaking, I mean, I don't know. We don't, if it's a giant rush and it's a giant pain where we have to like make people come in on Saturday, like we'll charge extra for it. But generally, like, I don't know, we don't really charge for that stuff. And just because it's the nature of the industry we mainly work in. And then our pricing is already a little high just because of our process. So it's sort of a wash, if you will.
Yeah, I would rather be net zero, honestly, even in that overtime, if we could keep it in-house and it goes to the staff and they get some extra money and they really want it. Like, I'm okay with that. We are still profitable, but if that was the scenario, like, let's say it's just regular work that's pushed us into overtime, that's going to be less profitable, right? I might be able even to sub that out cheaper, but if it's an actual rush, we have rush fees and it all works out in that sense. But I would rather keep it in-house, and if I can create a culture and I can get people that really want the overtime, then why not give them the opportunity to do it? Yep. That was not always our case. We used to have voluntary sign up for overtime 2-3 years ago, and we would get 1 or 2 people. And this past week, Tuesday, actually both weeks, this week and last week, we ran 4 presses, overtime, 15 people for both shifts. And so we had everyone was, we had a lot of people that came in to work.
Who runs production? Like, so if you're having a second shift, essentially, you have somebody in place that is the production manager to make sure everything is fine. Like, are you putting up new jobs and getting them proofed? You know what I'm saying? Or are you just continuing to run a job that didn't get finished?
We're doing both. We have a production manager. He'll usually stay the overtime. I'm almost always on every overtime shift, kind of like lead the way, I guess, to some extent. And then if it was like, oh no, we don't have me or Tom or something, we would probably do the other, set them up during the end of the first shift, try to set up the longer run stuff, and then kind of task the next most responsible person or the person moving up the ladder and say, hey, you're going to keep an eye on this shift and make sure things are going right.
Got it. Dylan and I are listening to Shoe Dog. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read that book. It's about Nike, Phil Knight. And I am just barely into it. Dylan, I don't know how far you are.
I'm like 30% into it.
So you're further than me, but I wrote down 2 things that I loved from it so far. And I thought I would get your opinion on it. And the first one is he says in here that you're remembered for the rules you break. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's what you go to jail for.
Yeah, I was gonna say that can go good or bad.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's kind of. I mean, I would say both of you guys, guess wise, it's not necessarily you broke a rule, but like Eric, you're known for like doing what you do with Waterbase, and Tony, you're known for what you're doing with doing, discharge under base and Pletzall on top, and then the whole rotation. You're known for being a good guy. No, I'm just saying that like you guys stand out among other printers because of the things that you did differently, and I guess that's kind of like breaking the rules a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, locally, I guess we broke all the rules. We did high color count. No one else does high color count. So I guess maybe if that is the measure of breaking the rule, like we're trying to offer something different locally than anyone else is offering. So if the rule is be mediocre local print shop, then yes, we have broken that rule, and we're trying to be a higher end print shop.
Yeah, and I don't think either and no disrespect for Tiny Fish. I don't think either Tiny Fish nor Night Owls were like not necessarily breaking the rules. We're just trying to do better. So like that's I don't think that's necessarily a rule break, but I understand the quote and the concept, and I think like it more comes down to, at least for me, like when people tell me like, no, you can't do that. Yes, I mean sometimes like you can't do that, but other times it's like, well, no, you can't do that. Like I'm going to try and figure out how. And I think all 4 of us, to some extent, have figured out, each of our little like niche to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
The next one is, and this one I think is going to be controversial.
Is it signed Michael Jordan? Is that?
I hope it's not at all.
Don't tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do and be surprised with the results.
I think that's just delegating to somebody and being okay with letting them figure it out.
I've gone the other way. I just pretend I don't know what to do anymore and just let everyone try to figure it out. I don't even tell them. I don't lead them to the answer. I've found much better results just being like, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
Like I used to be the guy, and it was probably some mix of ego and whatever, hubris, where I was just like, oh no, I got to be right. I got to be the one with the answer. I got to be, I left no room for other people to be right and have ideas. And now I'm happy to be the one who just doesn't know anything. And obviously I'm going to help in a real tight situation, but I've found that the more room I've given people here, the more they've grown than in the old me.
Yeah, I really like collaborating with people. And so like giving them the end goal of like, this is what we want to accomplish. I have no idea how to get there, but like, it's your job or responsibility to like help forge the path. And you have to give people room to like fuck up and be okay with it, because ultimately everyone's gonna, especially when you're trying to figure things out, people are gonna make mistakes. And if it's so important that you can't allow for those errors, then like you have to do it yourself. And then that onus has to be on you for screwing up instead of on your staff.
It's funny, Andy, you talking about pulling out some quotes of what you found in that book already. But the reason why I decided to listen to the book was because I watched the movie. I watched Air about, them getting Michael Jordan and all this other stuff. And it was funny, like we've talked about on the show a bunch of times. My whole career, we've always just said it's just t-shirts. Like, we always talk about we get stressed out and all sort of stuff. Like, oh, it's just t-shirts, whatever. But in the movie, he says a shoe's just a shoe until someone puts it on. And that made me think, like, we always say that, like, it's just a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But like the truth of it is, it's like, it's just a t-shirt until someone buys that shirt because it speaks to them, and then they wear it. And then it's like, realistically, every shirt that you own technically is you and your identity at some point. Like, if I wear a shirt with X-Files on it, I'm showing the world that I love X-Files and it's important to me and I'm passionate about it. Mm-hmm. So like, it's meaningful to somebody. That's why it was like the whole Taylor Swift thing. It's like they're buying the shirt because it's got Taylor Swift on it and it reminds them of the show and it brings back memories every time they wear it. So again, this is super cheeseball, but it just like, it made me think of that more than I've ever thought about that, where like, it's not just, we might be printing thousands of them, but to each person that gets that shirt, it means something.
Yeah. And I mean, for us, I feel like it's probably a pretty common sales pitch, but often like when we're talking with customers, we always tell them like, it's our job to, impress our customer's customer. We want that shirt that we're making to be the first shirt that they pull out of, the laundry, or that they just don't wash and they wear it for 4 days because they have that connection with it. Whether it's, like you said, it's something that represents their personality, coupled with the fact that like it makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel good. And that's ultimately the goal of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, we're at that mark now where we're getting into dangerous territory for being long, and that's Tony's thing. We got to make every episode.
Whoa! There's a time limit on this thing. We haven't even touched on the whole like.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is like, is there anything like, because this whole thing was a square table on the industry? Is there anything that's going on right now that we're not talking about that we missed? I mean, one of my notes was like, we're all talking about recession, and then fucking Eric decides to start a new company.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, but even that, it was a means to an end. I mean, that new company was really only because we needed solutions that weren't really around or viable for our processes to make us like more efficient. And then when we figured out how to do some of them, other people started asking for them. So it's like a creation of a company by necessity. But I think that goes back to what we've been seeing ever since COVID came up and the pandemic started, right? People getting more creative in terms of what they could do. And I don't mean to sidetrack your question. I just don't think it's that important to really talk about. So like, I more wanted to ask, like, I still feel like I've heard about this all since the pandemic started, that shops would be closing, and like shops did close, right? But most of us came out kind of stronger than ever. And now we're back in this weird time where it's like, oh, like, is it soft, or are we just not going to be in business, or what's going on? I feel like I'm also seeing like a lot of like people that worked at shops, or a lot of talent, like being out and about looking for kind of new places to go. And I don't know. I didn't know if you guys have seen that, or if you had any thoughts on that.
Like, our employees looking for other things to do instead of screen printing?
No, like, well, I mean, I guess a little bit of that, but more just like people don't necessarily want to, like they're looking for better work opportunities, like even in the screen printing industry. And it just seems like there's a lot of shakeups going on, big and small, not just screen printing shops, but like equipment manufacturers and things like that too. It just seems that there's a lot of personnel changes going on. And I don't know if that's because people are trying to get leaner and more efficient, or things are in trouble, or they're just, I don't know, they don't have a good culture. I don't know. Like, there's a million reasons. But I feel like I'm seeing that more and more, and didn't know if you all were seeing that.
I think I see it a lot too. Like, I agree with you, but the thing is I don't know why. Like, I don't know what it's for. It's like I see it with a lot of these big manufacturers, not to put a flashlight on anybody, but like a lot of hush, we're laying off this many people, but we're keeping this person. And then it's like, from the outside, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, this company looks like it's going to implode.
Yeah.
And then they're all just like, no, it's for really good reasons. It's like, well, what reason is that? And then, I see a lot of things shifting around, but I think it is also too, like, a lot of people were home and now they're back to work, and then they're like, well, I kind of liked aspects of this. And then I also got like new hobbies, and I kind of want to like see where this goes. And I don't know. It's a lot of discussions of like we were talking about 401k and all this stuff to keep people around. I feel like it's the companies that stayed solid now have to like sweeten the pot a little bit to keep people interested.
Well, I think like Dylan's saying, it's a little bit of people are curious now. Maybe COVID broke whatever their mindset was. And they like, oh, well, maybe I'll do this, that's the other thing. And then I think I know locally, the other print shops haven't really kept up with inflation as far as pay has gone. So I got a text the other day. I listed a mock-up artist at $20. So this is someone that's going to have to be Photoshop, Illustrator, literate, and all this. And another local owner wrote me and was like, "Are you crazy? $20? There's a dime a dozen." And it's just like, well, yeah, but it's not $19.99 anymore, homie. Like $20.
He's at minimum wage.
Yeah, $20 is not today what it was even 3 years ago at a 10% per year inflation. So I think there's some of that, and people's expenses have gotten. People are really trying to figure out, like, I can't make 16. I can't make 18. In my market in New York, you can't get away with $18 or $16 for long. And there's still people that are on that wage scale. They haven't shifted through all of COVID, through all of inflation, through all of everything. So I think there's a lot of that going on too. It's just a big shift throughout everything, but I've seen it. I've seen a lot of other people applying here from local shops more than ever.
I think there's a cultural shift happening. I think that it was coming already before COVID, but COVID accelerated it. And I really do see a cultural shift. I think that socialism is knocking on our doors. I know it's crazy sounding, but I think that people's priorities are changing. I think that people value experiences and maybe their life more than making money to pay their mortgage. And I know that maybe that's going to catch up with them potentially or something, but I actually don't blame them. I mean, because sometimes I even on my drive home ponder like, what the fuck did I just do all this for? And so
Yeah.
I'm at an age where, like, I'm older than you guys, and I have my career, the years left in my career are less. And I totally get the notion of, wait, like, I don't want to go fucking work somewhere that's going to pay me jack shit, bust my ass, and then go home and be tired and then do what? I think there's a cultural shift, and I think it's probably healthy. I think, though, that it's going to hurt small business mostly. And I don't have the answers, like what we're supposed to do, other than like what you were just saying. I guess all of us are saying is that we're adding benefits and saying, hey, this is actually a cool place to work. Like, let's try and have fun. I don't want you to stress out here. I want you to, yeah, it's work and it's rewarding. Don't forget that, because doing a hard day's work is rewarding. But I think that people aren't willing to sacrifice their days to go do some shit thing they don't want to do. And so you have to make sure that your shop is doing something cool.
Can I do a real talk, negative talk real quick?
Yeah.
Sure.
I've noticed this, and this is kind of in like the whole changing the guard, and I'm being quieter because I don't want my staff to hear. I'm noticing more and more people, when it's slow, bitching about like not getting enough hours and not, like, oh, what's going on? I want to work this much, or I don't want to work 3 days a week. I want to work 5 days a week. I want to do this. I want to do this. But then when things are busy, or things not necessarily busy, but coming back up, they're like, oh, is there any way I can, take Friday off, or I want to leave at 3:00. I want to do this and this. I was like, you just got done complaining to me so hard that you wanted more hours, but then I'm giving you all the hours you could ask for, and you're constantly asking for time off, or you want to leave early, or you want to do this and this. It's like, I had this discussion with Andy on the phone the other day where I was just like, I hate humans right now. Like, I feel like I got scolded, and I got like the stress of a boss of like, why aren't you creating enough work for me? And then I give them the work, and they're like, why won't you let me go home early? And it's like, I'm just going to fucking murder all of you. And
yeah, I struggle with that sometimes, mainly like when we're busy, but then I have to remind myself, it's like, well, like the set schedule is 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. And usually they're staying extra on those days anyway, because we don't have the luxury of just being like, all right, it's like 6:00. We're just going to leave the ink up on press and pick it back up tomorrow. Or like,
yeah,
we have to finish and then we have to clean up. Right. And that sucks. So I have to remind myself sometimes where it's like, they've already given 4, 6, 8 extra hours. And then I can't expect them to be there on Friday for that 5th day when they are technically off, especially if I haven't given them notice. Like if it's the night before, I'm like, hey, like we're going to show up at like 9 a.m. tomorrow. Like, what if they've already made plans? Like, I know it's a weird way to think of it, but it's like, we have to be professional in our approach. And maybe we need to be treating it more like there's voluntary hours, like Tony's doing, where there's voluntary, like overtime. But I have to remember sometimes too, where it's like, just because this is like, I'm in it all the time. Like the only time I'm not checking my email is typically when I'm sleeping. Like that doesn't mean that that's what they have to do.
Right. And
so
they're not as invested.
Bunch.
I think I don't have so much input on the actual like, oh, we want to go home early part of it. Like we've been trying to create the culture of overtime is okay and get people volunteer. But I would say just in general, I think we all there's a challenge that there's always these entrepreneurial challenges that come up, and if the one is finding staff, figuring out the way to find staff better than other people is the opportunity to make your business stand out from another business. So if you're having trouble getting people or retaining people, I think you got to stop for a second, take a look internally and say like, well, what is it? Why aren't people staying? There was a talk on the Discord recently about exit interviews. I think Eric brought that up. Like,
yeah.
We do exit interviews with everyone, whether we like them or not. And even if we don't like them because they were unhappy here or something, they might have a really valid point about why they were not happy here. Maybe they felt like I was being too aggressive, or the overtime policy was too this, or the culture of this. But we'll listen and we'll just try to improve. And I know everyone here just talked about it with the 401ks, the benefits, the one health plan that Eric does through that website. So I would encourage anyone that's having trouble just to take a step back and try to add whatever. You can't just add value to the customer. You also have to add value to the staff. So it is that balance of trying to figure that out. And the better you figure that out, I think it makes your business stronger than everyone else. I see it locally.
The more that you figure that out too, I hate just having to keep reiterate the term of that company culture, but the stronger that is, the more willing people are to step in and make sure that the company does well, because ultimately they know that they're going to benefit from it as well. And it's like, it really is like a group effort. I'm not a huge fan of like when companies are like, oh, like we're all a family and all this shit. But it's like, ultimately, like right now, I'm really proud of our team because they all recognize, again, it's like if they step in and they can help do the extra work, it benefits everyone. And ultimately it's going to be more rewarding for everyone too. And that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Do you think it gets easier as your team grows to add on people? You know, like in the beginning, before you had a lot of the team that you have now, you were trying to recruit and hire people to come to this shop of not very many people without really much culture. And so now that you have everything, it's like this exponential effect. It just becomes easier. Do you think that that's a true statement?
I think so. Tony, you guys have like middle managers or people underneath you, like managing departments?
We have leads and they, again, I was too close to everything for a long time, but they're now really starting to become that kind of middle layer.
And I've talked about this before with different people and in different interviews, but like, yeah, having that kind of like middle layer where like you don't have to be so involved with everything. You have these leads or the departmental managers that share your vision and can help lead it. That also makes everything stronger, and it reduces your burden and your stress while you're trying to figure out everything else. And I don't know, I think that is also a really big key of like growing your company as well.
I think you get more, the bigger you get, the more levers you get to pull to try to retain people and bring people in. Like when we were small, you only got like, hey, look at me, I'm going to work alongside of you all day and we're going to do this together, guy. Like, and you know, we're going to learn it from the bottom up. But then as you're bigger, you're like, oh no, I can have 401k, I can have health, I can have PTO, so we have at our disposal way more levers than we did back then, which make it easier in some ways. But there was also, you know, different levers we pulled back then of like, you know, we're going to be a small knit team. We're going to have this, that, the other thing. We're going to do bagels on Friday, whatever it was. I don't know. But
I thought everybody hated bagels. They protested the bagels. So
don't bring that up.
Are your leads promoted from within, or do they come from the outside?
Ours are from within.
Yeah, same for us. I mean, we've tried to hire from the outside and it's never really worked. in fact, we have hired folks from the outside to like lead departments. And I think in the 2 or 3 instances we did that, they didn't last more than a month. Like it just was very
They
clear.
weren't acclimated.
Well, it wasn't that. It was just very clear that like the folks that had been here for a while, like we're all sort of on the same page, and like, not that they weren't acclimated. It just seemed that like in one specific instance for fulfillment, we hired someone and she had like really great references and came from like a really good background. But it just became very clear that like we wanted to take our fulfillment department into like a digital step where like no papers, like everything was on tablets. And she like very much wanted to just still like write stuff down on sticky notes. And so maybe we're not good. I don't know. Maybe we still aren't, but we weren't good then at like vetting and hiring folks. But that was also, we probably interviewed over 100 people for that position. And we felt that this was the strongest lead. And then ultimately it was like, we're in 2 completely different directions. And then the people internally were like, I'm just going to step up. They felt comfortable enough. And because of the way that our company operates, they felt like they could chime in and voice their opinion and, you know, make an impact if they stepped up. And that's what they did.
Andy, do you have anything else you want to speak
Bro, we
about?
got Discord questions.
Yeah, as I say, I've got questions. Tony's got
we
questions.
got we got
fucking
hours,
speak up.
we got
Speak up,
hours
boys.
left. Buckle up, buckaroo.
Butterfuckaroo. All right, let's do it.
Butter up. Well, we had the big question on the Discord, or at least one of them was about the kind of the distributors becoming printers. So do we
I
going
had
to
that
touch
too.
on
I
that?
had that note. Yeah.
Because that is a big one, and we've run into that over the years. How have you guys handled this shift to the distributor chasing all the customers?
We personally, like at Night Owls, we haven't run into that situation in this particular aspect of the industry. Like, I mean, a lot of people know we do a lot of work with Chinese manufacturers for different things, like specifically pins and patches. And a lot of the fat of that stuff has like died down. So our business has kind of died down. But what started happening is a lot of those manufacturers just started contacting customers. And they saw anyone that made an enamel pin, all of a sudden you were getting 20, 30, different vendors saying, hey, we're going to make the best enamel pin for you. And we lost a bunch of customers because our factory, unbeknownst to them, just started DMing our customers and won them. So it's one of those things where it sucks, but there's no way we can control it. Like the companies, whether it's a pin manufacturer or it's an apparel vendor, like that's their business to stay in business. And they're going to find whatever avenues for business they can. And unfortunately, we're kind of fucked, in my opinion, in that aspect.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that people are complaining about was just like any customer can go to like Broder and make an account, and then they can come to you and be like, well, I can see what your stock is, and I can see what the price is, and why is the price this, or I want to supply my own blanks and this and this. Like I'm with you, Eric. I don't see it very often, but I see it in the industry and I see it happening. I do see more customers though asking if they can supply their own shirts, which we tell them no. We're just like, no.
We allow it, but we put minimums on it. So it's like 144 pieces so that they're technically...
That's a good way to go about it.
It's like, yeah. And then what we also decided to do too is like, if you're going to supply your own shirts, I'm still going to charge you the markup of what I would for the shirt.
That's what we do.
That's your price. And
that's what we do.
We don't advertise a price list. In fact, when people ask us for price lists, we just tell them everything is custom quoted.
That's exactly us too.
And
That's
we
what
don't
we
have
do
anything
too.
to send you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the customer supplied garments is they always like to throw in the random shit they bought at like Target or whatever. They're like, yeah, I have my own shirts. They're all like, jersey, whatever, but whatever. And then you get the box and it's like 50 t-shirts, 4 fucking silk polos, and then like, some random shit. And they're like, what do you mean you can't print it? It's like, dude, these are all different. Like,
those are probably all the customers that we send to you because they
probably, you fucking dick.
And then we say, oh, we can't do it upstate. We'll do it for you.
That's what Tony does. Tony sends me all the riffraff.
Tony and I are on the same page. We know what's going on.
100%.
Andy, if you want, we'll start sending them to you too. You just let us know.
I mean, we do the same thing. We have a customer fee, like a provided garment fee. And then we do kind of like the culture studio. You guys were talking to him and he was kind of like, listen, we need to take care of this from the beginning to end if you want success with this. So we have that whole spiel that we go through with them. And then I know Relentless Merch.
Matt,
I think he had a whole form that he sends the customers where it's like, you are liable for our mess ups. You are this, we're not replacing this. We're not, whatever. It breaks it all down for them. So we kind of walk the customers through all that. We just try to discourage it as much as humanly possible because we can't stop all of them. But I think certain people in certain markets, probably like Denial and Money Merch, are probably getting people all the time coming in with stuff off of Canal Street and Chinatown and all this stuff. Like, print on this crazy poly rayon flammable, it hits the flash, it just ignites the whole shop on fire.
You guys, this is like a side question off of this, but like, are you marking up your garments more and having kind of a lower print price, or opposite, where you have a higher print price and a lower markup on the garments?
We don't mark up our garments that much. It's usually all in the print price.
Yeah, same. I mean, we have a markup for garments. It's not anything crazy.
Our garment, we mark up 1.5. So we just take whatever the cost of the garment times 1.5. That gives us our total. And that changes sometimes though. Like if you want to get aggressive with a quote, or if a customer's placing, let's say 6 orders.
That's the first thing to go for me if I have to be competitive.
You do that with hoodies too?
Yeah, and I know you're thinking that because then the 0.5 is a lot because you're just, it's a big markup. But fleece fucking sucks. Like it fucks your pallets up. It's hard to move around. It's expensive, and the perceived value is there. And so we mark up the same thing with fleece.
I mean that's stuff that like I'm waiting for my new CPA to get through tax season. We're gonna rework all of our pricing because like we're similar to you, Andy. Like we mark up our garments high, and then our print prices are like moderate, but we make a good amount from the markup of a garment. And I want to flip that because more and more people are trying to bring garments in, and we're leaving money on the table, especially when, again, our process is so fucking labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say the part B to this initial question was the whole, the like Broder or whatever is basically they're doing more and more contract printing. Like they're going after our customers.
Fuck those guys. Who cares though? Because like I say, fuck them, and I'm doing my thing here, and I don't buy shit from them. Every once in a while, I do want to start buying. They have the new promo product thing, but I'll just find somebody else. But fuck them. I'm not too worried about them. I don't think either of us are really that heavy in contract anyway. But I don't know how big of a dent they're really. I don't think they're going to affect.
The thing is, I don't think it's going to affect shops like ours. It's going to affect maybe like Liquid. I don't mean to call them out, but shops that size, right? That are doing the huge programs. I would imagine that's attracting more customers like that versus people that are coming to our 4 shops.
The argument.
It's a place for all the brokers to go, right? They can go to Alpha now and they can get their promo products and they can get printed shirts, and they don't need to find a relationship with a printer. So for people that service brokers, they're going to probably feel it the most. Alpha is our number one.
Are you talking about like a pure contract shop?
Yeah, if you're a pure contract, you really rely on those relationships with all your brokers. And
I guess, but as long as I look at it like this, like do a fucking good job.
I love assertive Andy. So there's certain topics that I hit him with, and he's just immediately like, nah, fuck this shit.
Yeah, but if you're a broker, and you have to get stuff shipped to a shop, right? You're already losing a day there. But if you can get it straight from Alpha all in one shop,
do a good job. Like do a better job than Broder. Fuck Broder. Do like
I listen, I'm with it.
Have great customer service. People when they answer the phone first of all. That's step one. Answer the phone.
A lot of contract shops are not good at customer service, though. They're good at the operation.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you expect Tony to answer the phone? He took the batteries out.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. But that's it.
I don't know. I mean, that question came up, and like, yeah, it's a bummer for sure. Like, it sucks to have like a vendor like that again coming after your customers, but it doesn't bother me because we do exactly what Andy was saying. We're going to do a better job. We're going to provide a better.
It's going to come for you boys. It's coming for you boys. I got burned pretty good. I got by a distributor that doesn't exist anymore. They got bought up by Alpha, but they outbid us on a real big contract, and it'd be about $1 million a year worth of work. And we couldn't compete, and they just outbid because they were manufacturing.
They'll call you. They're gonna call you.
But didn't like
Don't worry about
We
it.
still do the work for
We
the
are
customer.
getting
We
heated
just
right now.
don't- What's that?
So we are getting heated right now, boys.
Well,
Step back a little
But
bit.
didn't this used to happen like back when it was mill direct pricing and there weren't vendors like Alpha, right? Like, I mean, you would go to Fruit of the Loom and bid out not only your shirts, but you would bid out your project for, like Tony, in your example, I'm sure you're talking about retail stuff, right? Like going to Spencer's or
yeah, I was going all to Hot Topic Spencer's. So
we deal with that shit too with customers, and there's no way we could compete with the pricing that they're getting from those printers working in the retail stores. But quite honestly, do you want to?
the thing is that we had the price was good, customer was happy with it, everything was good, and then I can't remember how it happened, but I think Spencer's was like, "Oh no, you guys need to go to this guy," and blah 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 blah. So the work went over there. We still do the other part of the work for that customer, which is nice, but it was a lot of work. Right now, at the time we would have loved it. Right now, sure, we don't want it. But if we were to expand the shop again and have capacity, why not? Like, let's run it on the B shift or something, because the prints aren't any good. The stuff going into these stores isn't any good. They're dumbing everything down from 14 colors to 4 and all this kind of stuff. So
Was
we
it
could've done that.
was it Broder who did the Taylor Swift shirts? Is that what you just said?
It probably was.
Andy's
Okay.
fucking got the
You guys are about to get sued.
torches and pickford. I know.
I love it because it's like the one he doesn't use. So he's like, whatever. Burn them.
We're gonna get fucking sued for defamation of character and everything else.
What else do you got?
So piggybacking on that, this is not a Discord question. We can get back to it in a second, but like it kind of follows up what we just said, but also my previous question. How do you see things like changing? And I know you've talked about this a lot with other guests having like DTF come in, but how do you see like folks opening shops and running shops? How do you see that changing? Because much like I said, with like personnel kind of being a little bit more available, I think I feel that I'm starting to see more and more shops, like maybe not as, this is a bad way to say it, maybe not as relevant as they were, or maybe the owners aren't as interested. And I'm also like looking at stuff like that. Even some folks on Discord where it's like, well, maybe they close their shop and they come and do sales for me. And we sort of converge and do like these like mini mega shops, like that's how I see things trending. I would
do you love
guys
that.
See that?
Yeah.
I've always thought about that. I always think of like a good employee at like Andy's shop, and I'm just like, man, I wish I could just steal him and just have him at my shop.
You don't
instead.
think that.
So
You never think that.
I would take Kyle in a heartbeat.
Anyone would take
I think the mergers happen once the volume of shops becomes too many. It makes sense for people to start merging up, right? That's the next logical progression. So if people start getting burned out and they don't want to do this and they don't want to do the hours, I think that's a way that things are going to go. And then also digital is making it so there's whole new models popping up where people don't even have screen printing. They're just opening digital DTF heat press megathons or something, DTG.
We talked about that in Atlantic City, where basically we were saying, like, realistically, if you wanted to start a screen printing shop or a t-shirt printing shop now, you could go buy an East West machine and you can get an account at Supercolor or Howard or whatever, and you could just fucking heat press orders all day long.
Yeah.
And if you had a big order that was something you didn't want to heat press, you farm it out to anybody that's reputable.
I think
work at home in your garage.
Yeah, the digital is coming faster than ever since COVID, I would say. And I see even what's going on with M&R and all the more digital push over there. And I know what we're looking at as far as digital for the future. I mean, we'll be going even more hard into digital. And I just see people's, like, for us, it's a big expense because we have so much of the older equipment. But for someone starting out, if they're just buying a big digital press or something, that's their startup costs are going to be a lot less. So it's just going to keep shifting that way, and it'll be more flexible. It'll give more options. And then
Eric,
I don't know how that means for the contract boys, but
Eric, are you suggesting that maybe there was an unusual growth in shops, like they were popping up over COVID? Everybody had that Bitcoin money or whatever, or their government checks. And then like, okay, I'm going to open a screen printing shop. And also they're listening to, they were working from home or what they're doing, like, hey, this is my time. Like, this is my chance to open a shop. And there was a lot of shops that opened up. And some of those shops are going to stay open. They're going to be successful because they have the right ingredients to be an entrepreneur, or they're in the right market or whatever it is. and they're going to be successful. Others aren't going to be. And the ones that are successful are going to steal some work from maybe existing shops. So maybe some big guys are going to try and downsize or maybe even go out of business. And we're seeing a lot of auctions lately. Like, what's up with that? And so are you suggesting that maybe the next thing is that there's going to be shops that close, whether they're new because of COVID or not, or whether they're big and they just are like, look, I'm getting out of the game. Maybe they hurt their back and they're like, hey, I'm fucking done. And so like,
kind of.
Is that what's happening?
That's sort of where I see things going. I think that I don't even think it has anything to do with, maybe it does have to do with COVID, right? I think COVID was sort of the first step of like thinning the herd a little bit, where like those that weren't smart in terms of business, that's a bad way to say that, but like maybe like they weren't prepared for something like that and they didn't have opportunities to pivot, like, and they left or they're out, right? And now with this whole new generation of digital, like Tony was saying, like there's going to come another point very quickly where the smaller shops are going to be the first, I think, to feel that, right? They're going to phase out screen printing and they're going to go digital, or they're just going to be like, I can't do this anymore because I don't have $20,000 to get this DTF set up. I think that's the first phase. And then what's going to start happening is that like people are going to start aging out of their equipment. And now all of a sudden they're going to have dinosaurs and they're not going to want to go and spend $100,000, $200,000, $1 million on new equipment. They're going to go into DTF or they're going to exit. And then so what's going to start happening is you're going to start having small to mid-sized shops start to close, fail, get out. I think on the opposite side, like the big ASI printing shops or the big contract shops, their market's going to start getting taken from Alpha Broder, from now all these people can get in with just ordering transfers and a heat press. So it's like coming from both sides, it's squeezing those of us, and I consider the four of us like kind of mid-sized, middle-sized shops, right? I think we're going to be stable, but what we're going to start seeing is that maybe there is opportunity for these smaller shops to come, whether it's into the company or to come in and like help do sales or bring sales in. I mean, I'll throw it out there because I'm friends with him and I don't think he's gonna mind. But like I fuck with like Justin from Barrel Maker all the time, where I'm just like, close your print shop, buy us, let us do the printing, and you focus on live printing. Like I see moves like that happening unilaterally as well. I don't have the clear picture on it, but I see that's kind of where things are going to trend, in my opinion, at least. Yeah, and I'm just curious if you guys see that or feel that at all.
I would agree with some version of that. I think the digital is going to play a big role in it. I've been noticing it for probably 10 years. We used to do a lot of small artists, people that would do tabling, people that would do events. Well, then along came the new business models, the Society Sixes, all this kind of stuff, my Cafe Press or whatever. But they took a lot of those to the print on demand models, right? So then the digital, the printfuls and all this. So that was like phase one, and now phase two is even more people can do it because they can get into DTF, they can order from Supercolor, they can do this, they can do that, they can get from Howard Press, they can get all the transfers, heat press in their house. I'm seeing a ton of Instagram pages with people making transfers, vinyl cut transfers. So I think it'll just keep happening, and it will just keep making the order. Either you need to find the bigger orders, or the smaller stuff will have to be digital. And I think that you touched on a big one there, which is, if you're 55, if you're 65, do you really want to invest multiple millions of dollars revamping all your equipment? Or you're like, no, I'll just sell this off or I'll close it or whatever. So I think you're right. It's inevitable. And I think the shift is coming. The digital's coming in hot.
I think we just start lowballing all our friends, like, to buy their shops. You know what I'm saying? I
do it every day.
Me too. I'm waiting for Tony's counteroffer right now.
Yeah, I sent Andy a real nice low bid for his shop.
What'd you get, Andy? I got $25. What was your offer?
24. Yeah. So okay. I mean,
he just offered to buy me dinner.
Oh man, that means he likes you.
Yeah, get some chicken wings. And a salad for you. All right, what else you guys got?
Big non really shop specific questions was just dealing with. Regarding the cost of materials, recalculating, selling the price to customers, just kind of a lot of people talking about what are we doing about all these prices just kind of going crazy over the last, have we been able to keep up? How are we monitoring it? How are we changing are we reworking all our math? How are you guys handling the kind of increase in pay, prices, garments, blanks, all that?
So that sort of speaks to why I was asking a little bit about like how you're marking your garments up, right? So it's like our print costs, like, yes, they've gone up as insurance has gone up, employee wages, electricity, all that stuff, right? So there is some modification there, but the dynamic part of that equation is always the garment, in my opinion, which is why we mark it up, and we mark it up kind of aggressively, so that like that is also counteracting to some of the other increases I just mentioned, and that's helping to cover that cost. That's how we do it. I'm always a big proponent. I mean, I always feel like we're kind of expensive in the grand scheme of things, but it's like, it's not going to be for everyone. So just raise your prices and then start to be okay with not being for everyone. And that's a hard lesson to learn, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
Same.
Andy?
Tony, they've checked out. They don't even care. I'm here for your question.
Andy knows
I'm here.
He's on.
I'm agreeing with you.
Andy's thinking about that offer. Andy's thinking about that offer I made him. He's like,
oh, $25 sounds pretty good.
I'm in the same, I guess, space as Eric. Or I agree with Eric. I would echo just what he said, is that we are priced high. I mean, whenever I don't hear much about our shop from locally, other than they're expensive, and I'm okay with that. So I think that if you come here, you're going to be paying a little more, but I like to think that there's a value there. And so I think what Eric, kind of like what he said, is that the supply increases, the labor increase, all these stuff. I mean, our rent, they just sent me a letter like, hey, by the way, your rent's going up. I just renewed, June 1st is my renewal for our healthcare, and it's up 8.5%. And she said, hey, do you want to offer less benefits? Like, do you want your deductibles to go up and whatever? I say, no, we want to keep the plan we have, and it's just going to go up fucking 8.5%. And so we have to absorb that. I think eventually something's got to give, and eventually we bump our prices up a little bit. But I mean, right now everything is still fine. And so I think that's important. It's an important lesson. It always wasn't. Like when we first started, we were hungry and we were desperate. And we were in a corner, we were fighting and swinging and whatever it took. Like I would do fucking work. It didn't matter. You know, like I would charge too little, but I think it's important to stretch test. Is that what you'd say? You know, raise your price and see what happens. Do people,
and just because the prices go up doesn't mean that, like, if there's a job that you really want, or you feel that it's going to be really beneficial for one reason or another, it doesn't mean you can't
fight for it.
Yeah. Or adjust your pricing, or
right. There's circumstances absolutely that you get a little more aggressive. Look, we had a couple trees die in our yard. I have a white pine that died and a couple other fucking things. I called the company. I was like, hey, can you come out, meet me there? And I need some landscaping work. So, okay, cool. We went there and said, okay, you need this tree. Literally just a few trees, a few shrubs, some lava rock, a little bit of mulch. $10,000 fucking dollars. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
They had to get a porta potty while they're there because of whatever reason, you know? I'm like, really? Just come in and use a restroom, whatever. $10,000. And so but you know what?
I was waiting for you to be like, and I paid it.
Yeah, it was like no big deal.
No, we're not getting the trees. The trees are dead. They're just going to be dead, you know. And so like, but I understand it. And you know what? They're really good. I bet you they come in and they do a knockout job. But I'm not going to do that right now for landscaping. And so maybe their prices are too high, and they just tested it with me as a customer, and I'm like, holy shit, you know, that's just too much. And so maybe their price is too high, and they're going to have to come down. I don't know.
Well, they saw your gilded Tesla sitting in the driveway, and they're like,
they did not see that, because I don't have that anymore. No, don't have anymore. I have a gas guzzling.
I'm kind of have a similar story, not to get too in the weeds, but it was kind of like, I've for forever had that mentality of like, I'll do it. Like me and my dad have done like 95% of the renovations on the building, and my old house, like I did all those renovations. But the one thing I won't do is like tile work and plumbing. So the bathroom in the house, we like left for last, basically. Like, I don't want to do this. I mean, Tony, you're going through the same thing with your house. Like, you paid to have the whole thing done. We fucking got a quote for the bathroom, and it was like almost $50,000 for the bathroom. And I was like, you fucking kid. Like, how? And I was like, is the toilet made of fucking gold? Like, what is happening? And then dwindled it down to like, okay, we basically want this. But like originally it was like, okay, it was like walk-in shower, fucking clawfoot tub, like all this other stuff. And then we dwindled it down to like, okay, this is just a regular ass bathroom with like a new shower, tile this, toilet, everything. It came to like $38K for a bathroom. And I was just like, that's just the way it is now. Like he literally gave me an itemized invoice of like, this is the materials and this is what labor was. And it was just like, this makes sense. It's just expensive.
I think in the trades, the screen printing, like if you're charging $5, $6, $7, $8 for a shirt, people aren't blinking. I don't think too much. The average B2B customer is probably not blinking because they're getting quotes for $56,000 for a bathroom. Like we're still on the fairly affordable side of things you can do, especially as staff gifts, all this, a couple dollars per person, $5, $6 per person. Like prices are nuts. I mean, breakfast, I used to go to the local diner every morning for breakfast. It went from $6 to $10. So $10 just to get 2 eggs and some fries. I just think, you got to raise your prices. You just got to keep up with the times. Make sure you really do. I like the way we do our pricing off of the garment because as the garment prices are changing, it's just bringing everything up. That percentage stays the same, our markup and everything just kind of rises.
That's what people always asked us about our pricing or whatever. And this is other printers when I say other people. And I was just like, well, I don't really think about it too much because anytime they quote a job, they go to the distributor and they look at what the cost of the garment is and we add our print price. It's not like we have a sheet that's like from 1999 where it's like a Gildan is $3. It's like, no, like we're literally going with the price of everything going up. This is just our print price. The only time that ever changes if ink goes through the roof, then it'd be like, okay, let's reevaluate. But for the most part, like we're just going with whatever the garment is. Like,
and the last thing I'll say to that too is like I mentioned at the beginning of our talk that, at the beginning of the year, we took on a really big project and like we wanted this project really bad for like a lot of personal reasons. It's like stuff I'm like really, really interested in. And so we got really aggressive with our pricing. We lowered our markup a ton. And it's like, that turned into a $150,000 project within a month because we wanted it. And now it's going to repeat every 2 months, right? So it's like a huge win, but we knew when to get aggressive with it. It wasn't like the plumber from down the street coming in and say, I'm going to order 20 shirts today and then 20 shirts next month. Like,
or next
that's
year.
going to be standard prices. You know what I mean? So again, you can get creative, but raise your pricing. Like I don't know. We all
have
deserve
the confidence. Have the confidence when you do, because a lot of times, even Joanne struggles with this because she's like, "Hey, I'm going to sell this painting, and I mean, gosh, I can't believe I'm going to charge this much. Like, why would somebody pay it?" I mean, you just have to put it out there, and you have to be confident about it. When somebody walks in here, it's extremely rare that they leave and they don't place their order because we're confident. We have a cool looking shop. We show you some shirts. I'll give you a tour if you want. Like, we care about what we do, and why are you going to go get in your car and go somewhere else to save a couple bucks? I mean, I try to give you every reason not to do that.
Yeah.
There is one question asking whether I would beat up Eric in a fight, which I think we know is pretty. I got that one all day.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, I was born in New York, but I've been in Texas for a while, so it is.
Well, you're full vegan, right?
What was that?
You're full vegan.
Vegetarian. So
I'm all right. So
we have the same powers.
We're even.
Yeah.
You want to? We have some quick takes, so this doesn't have to be over.
Oh,
I have one more question. Unless Tony,
go ahead.
Go for it.
What are the big goals that you guys are looking for the end of the year that you want to accomplish this year? Like, I know Dylan, you said you want to sort of get the business up to
outbound
OSHA and safety standards. Outbound sales.
Outbound is what we're working the most on.
Okay. Andy, what about you?
We are. I'm in now right now, Eric. I'm living very presently. I'm very grounded. And so I can tell you about now, and that is we are very spring oriented.
So he has no goals.
You guys, shut the fuck up, Dylan. Shut the fuck up. Listen, I got something good.
Seriously, yeah.
Shut the fuck up. I got something good. And so we.
Andy, what is screen printing? Do you even know anymore?
Hold on. I think it's you take silk. You take silk and some paint. No, look.
The guy puts on one button up and it's game over.
Here's what I've got. Here's what I got, Eric. I got it. It's good. I got it.
Okay.
It better be.
So it's I noticed that our front showroom had gotten out of control. Like, we have too many options. And that just grew with, oh, this is a cool shirt, we should use it. This is a cool shirt, we should use it, or whatever. And so all of a sudden we had too many options. We had too many options over by embroidery. We have two separate counters here. We have embroidery. You walk in, you can do embroidery, you can talk to embroidery, you can come over and talk to screen printing. And over there were like 95 fucking polo options. And I'm like, no. We need to, this is like Cheesecake Factory. We need to have just a few. And so I did exactly what Phil Knight and Shoe Dog said. And I said, hey, here's what we need to do. Can you help us? And so I said, just pick the best ones and do what you think. And so she did it. Like the embroidery manager went and said, here's what we need. And now we have just like 10 polos over there. And I did the same thing with screen printing. And I went to Lauren. I'm like, hey, what do people really want? What do you sell like 90% of? That's all we want here. And so we got rid of everything else. We're having a sidewalk sale tomorrow. And the next day, we're just going to put it out there. We have a tent, Shirkong tent for live printing. Put some racks out there and sell a bunch of shit that we don't need here anymore. Nor do I want to even print on. I just want to stick to I wrote them down. I got it right here.
Yeah.
He's going to list every item that he owns.
That's the main styles right there.
Oh yeah, baby.
And we're going to, and over in our stock, we have way too much stuff. Like we don't really sell anymore. It just sits over there. And so we're going to sell all that too and spring clean. And then we fixed up the design room. We made more space in there, moved some desks around and ordered some stuff. I mean, so we're kind of working on just spring stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just to make it an update, like new fresh shirts in our showroom and new fresh colors and way less.
Hey, Andy, I apologize for giving you such a hard time.
That's okay.
That was a decent
answer.
All
right. I had stepdads. They were rough on me and prepared me for this moment.
I didn't beat you with a belt.
Should we unpack that a little bit, maybe?
I think so.
Well, yeah. So in 1980.
Hey, bud. I'm proud of you. Okay.
Thank you.
Are we?
I know that's what you needed.
Now? We're all your stepdads now. We're very proud of you.
That's what his mom said.
Exactly. Hey.
Tony,
all right, quick takes. Oh yeah,
whoa, Andy, will you come down,
bro? Whoa.
We're all having a good time.
What do we? Hey, we are in hour 3. No, we're not.
I have an interview in 10 minutes, and I'm rather hang out with you guys. So
good man.
You're the only guy who I know brings all-stars onto his show and then tries to kick them off after 3 hours, bro. We got 5 hours of content.
Wait, are Tony and I like officially tied for most podcast guests? Is that really why you wanted us both on here?
I think so.
I think it might be.
All right, cool. Tony, I'm going to take you. Don't worry.
All right, let's do it. Our year goal is just operations, and ultimately, if we could find a new space, that would be great. But we're looking at probably like 5% net to the bottom line, just through streamlining, automations, yada yada, all those kind of things you just mentioned with Andy. And if we can get space, that would be a super big win for us.
Not that you wanna or need to dive into it too much, but last time we talked, you were going to have a meeting on that new space. Did that go well, or has that changed at all? The toxic waste dump.
We have a extension on that contract, so we just extended another 90 days. I'm learning a lot about the whole phase 1, phase 2 environmentals, what that means, what that doesn't mean.
It means a lot of money. That's what it means.
Yeah, I thought, and I'm if we have a lawyer out there listening, they're going to call me and yell at me. But I thought that that all of these organizations were in trying to make sure that these parcels of land were cleaned up for the best interests of society and all this stuff. It turns out that it really boils down to a lot of money, and all of the remediation, or many of the remediation things that we might have to endeavor, are just like, all right, well, what do you do with this? Well, we dig it up and we let it go into the air. I was like, well, wait a minute. Well, what do we do with this? Oh, we dig it up, we put it in trucks that are all lined with plastic, and we bring it somewhere and burn it. What do we do with this? Oh, we put a radon thing and then we push it into the air. I was like, what is happening? I was like, so anyway, we're just trying to figure out what that really is going to mean for us. My biggest concern with that property is like any obvious potential hazards to the staff, if there were in this particular parcel. It's seeming like we don't have a lot to worry on that side. I just now need to figure out the liability part of that. Other than that, we've still been looking. So we just extended the contract to buy ourselves some more time. And we've been looking at other properties and trying to talk if it's worth building. But
why don't you just expand your current building?
Because he's already in 2 buildings.
We're in 3 buildings and we don't have any more space.
Yeah.
And I'm asking if we need to. I mean, if it's not appropriate to be on the actual podcast, it could just be between the 4 of us. Like, what is the dollar amount for like the building size that you're looking at?
So in New York. So when we bought our building, full disclosure, it was the $35 a square foot. So That's what we paid for our building, our main building. The other buildings are kind of junk and we paid less. Just the other day, the building next door to us, which is literally half a 1940s horse stable. So imagine what that might look like in one side. And then a nice brick building on the other side. It sold for $65 a square foot. And then, which is way over, and it's more than what we paid for ours, which is much bigger. And then, now we've seen prices as high as $100 a square foot for space, and building is about $100 to $110 a square foot. So it's just got kind of ridiculous, and there's really nothing out there that fits what we want. Big, open, clear span, 40,000 square feet, just one floor. So
yeah,
we're on the hunt. But it's the rents have gone way up. You know, we're at probably $5-6. $5 probably then triple net for rent. So and at our size, that would probably be $200-something thousand a year worth of rent, and I'm really not interested in that.
Yeah. So I was going to say, close current location, knock it down, build a new building right there.
There's not enough property. Our buildings don't have really any property. So it's like parking lot, our building, and then there's a tiny little patch of grass. So we did explore that option, but there's just nowhere to add the space. And demolition is actually very expensive. To knock down a building is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
So that really makes no sense either.
Plus, he doesn't want to ruin the accessibility for that homeless guy to shit on his fucking floors or
That's
whatever the hell
true.
he's doing.
That's true. I got to keep this building clean for him. Yeah.
Next question. Eric?
That was it. That was my last question.
I think I don't have any more big questions. It was all operational stuff from the Discord, and I don't think we need to like delve into like how to print an underbase. And
Yeah, I agree.
You sure? You want to
All
make
right.
a question up? Like you want a personal question?
no, but I didn't answer my goal thing. It was operations. Did I? Oh, I did.
Yeah,
I did answer.
did.
I don't even know
You
what
got
we're
it.
talking about anymore. Look at me.
Hey.
What are the quick
quick-
takes then?
Let's quick takes it up, Andy.
Okay. Tony, would you rather continue to print t-shirts or become a house fixer-upper and go work for Joanna Gaines? I think she's in Texas, so she'd be kind of close to Eric.
In Waco, an hour and a half, 2 hours from me.
Bad stuff happens there.
I feel like the Gaines family has done an amazing job, and they're mega stars, right? And they've changed interior design.
Shiplap.
It's probably more of a corporation than an actual couple doing any. I would want to go actually fix things up, but I feel like it's a TV show that it's more a TV show and a corporation. I mean, they have their own paint at the local hardware store.
They have a whole section in Target now. It's like a whole
Yeah.
middle section of Target.
Okay, change the question. Would you
So-
want to become I know you just went through this entire remodel.
Yes.
Are you, does it disgust you now and make you sick, or did you like it, have fun, and want to do it more?
I have a high tolerance for subjecting myself to terrible experiences, which is why I got into screen printing. But it's just why I show up to work every single day. But I don't want to be a contractor, although much like my entry into the screen printing business, I was like, if that guy can do it, like, I can definitely do it.
And then you learn
I mean,
hard that it's
50,000 for a fucking bathroom. You can make that happen in a weekend.
Oh yeah, I'll knock that right out. I could take it apart pretty easily. But
tiles will be crooked as fuck.
thing is, I've taken
Tony.
over my project. I kicked off the contractors, fired both
That's so Tony. Yeah, that's a very Tony thing to do.
I just couldn't do it anymore. Like Dylan said, it was getting to the point where they weren't showing up all the time. So they were showing up kind of intermittently. And then the bills just kept being the same. I was like, what is happening? Like, how do I keep getting the same exact bill every week? And you only showed up for like an hour and you rushed everything and it looks kind of half-assed. So
Well, I saw some pictures and it's absolutely stunning.
we're getting there.
Beautiful.
We're getting there. Thanks.
I'd move in. I'll live there.
I'll stick with screen printing as the answer.
Okay. Next question.
Was that just a Tony? Just what the hell? Is that just a question
Eric
for Tony?
doesn't-
There's
I
nothing
don't
for
know.
Eric.
There's the next question.
I'm sorry,
it was
Eric.
directed towards Tony, Dylan. Come on.
I know, but it should be both of you. All right, whatever.
Okay.
Fuck me,
I
Eric.
was glad to let Tony answer that because I have
Okay.
no.
This one's for you, I guess. And Andy writes these, so
Okay.
I don't know. Eric, if you could print merch for any band, past, present, or future, who would it be?
Oh, don't know,
Taylor.
that's like,
Oh.
I don't think I have an answer for that. This is there's like a shop here that's been around for a long time, and like two brothers own it now, but I think that's been like a recent thing. Like previously they had their own shops in Houston, but the story I heard is they started screen printing for Huey Lewis. And I always thought that was like the coolest thing. That was the first like job, the first reason they started screen printing. And then they would go to like, they would follow him and then sell like Huey Lewis shirts out of their car. So that's not a
So Huey Lewis.
correct answer, but I always thought that was a cool story.
Like it was bootleg out of their car.
Yeah, selling it out of a car. I don't know.
Huey
We print
Lewis.
for a lot of cool bands now, so like I'm pretty okay with who we work with now, but I don't have a great answer for you. I'm sorry, Andy.
No, it's a little disappointing, but I like Huey Lewis. Good answer.
Sign me up for Dua Lipa.
And the news.
Dua Lipa.
I mean, it could just be like, you know, New Buffalo printing fucking Rolling Stone shirts out of the back of a 18-wheeler and a modded M&R, what was it, Sportsman Challenger?
Yeah.
something like that.
Tony, you know the story. Go ahead, tell it.
I mean, I heard it was actually recently. I heard it was someone else's trailer that they actually got when that other place went under. But it was an 18-wheeler with the M&R Challenger 1, I think, like the early Challenger, and they had chopped all the arms and put them on hinges, so they could hinge the arms up into the trailer, the 18-wheeler, and they would pull it up to like Bonnaroo or something.
And then open the sides.
Yeah, open everything up and had a big compressor on it, and they would just start slinging shirts right at the event.
It's an awesome story.
Yeah, it's pretty
Well,
cool.
This
I
next
actually heard a
question-
new Buffalo story, and I don't know how true it is, but and it's probably better if we have.
Well, here's the platform to say a bunch of shit that isn't true. So let's
yeah,
do it.
perfect.
How about a
The
company that's
story
still in
is,
business?
so you didn't hear it from me, but the story was basically that they did a big print run for some NFL team. All right. So they had the print run, they run the Super Bowl, they start printing the shirts overnight. The truck for the store shows up, JCPenney's. They load the 50,000 shirts onto the truck or whatever it is. Truck pulls out. Boom. Another truck shows up. Hey, I'm here from JCPenney's. And the guy's like, what do you mean? You guys just picked up. It was a phantom truck. Someone stole the 50,000 shirts. They had to start printing all over again. That's the story.
How would they be responsible? I mean, I guess
They didn't check the bill of lading or whatever. They
Yeah,
just slapped it onto a truck.
Well, the balls, like, would you ever think that would happen? Would you ever think a random truck would pull up and be like, we're here for the shirts?
And there had to be some sort of insider knowledge.
Yeah, I think they fired a couple people. They figured out some insider.
Having just been through this, at around 3 a.m., you become delirious and nothing really matters. So I see it happening. Although it is GPS now, so it's 2023, so it's a little more difficult to pull off probably.
That's why, yeah.
Well, someone
Okay.
wasn't it? I don't know. Whatever. There was someone talking about they had to have cameras like at the end of all their belts and everywhere, and they had to like check. They were using those to like, push back on the customers and say like, "Oh yeah, we counted all of these shirts. They're all in that box." Like because here's the camera footage of us literally.
I would 100% say no to all that bullshit. I'd be like, this job is not worth it if you're putting cameras in my building.
Yeah.
It's the big contract shops. I think the security matters. I guess to the point where they're just like, we need all these cameras. We're watching it because I get, and I have some experience with this when you work with these big retailers, the chargebacks are like a thing. They want it like, you didn't put the sticker in the top right corner of the box. You didn't put the tape this certain way. You didn't. So this guy mentioned that they just have everything, every step recorded. And if they get a pushback, they can at least go back and say, oh no, look, here's a video of, we can send it to you if you want, but it's us putting a sticker on the top right corner of every single box.
I mean, it's smart when you're doing that. Like the retail stuff. Yeah, that's a whole other, podcast discussion. But
Yeah,
it's smart for that instance for sure.
Right.
I remember we were touring a shop in LA. Eric was there. Dylan was there. Tony, no. But we were going through and they said that they were so busy, like they had so many shirts that shirt storage became an issue. And then what they did, their solution was, and maybe Tony, you could do this. They put the shirts outside, bought lights, and hired a 24-hour security just with the pallets. And so, they created all this space inside by just putting things out in the parking lot. you ever heard of that?
I think you can get away with that type of stuff in Southern California where you don't have any weather. But also we had 3 people come in our parking lot during the middle of the day, smash all the windows and try to steal the Kias right out of the parking lot.
And taking shits and wiping their ass with a fucking
I forgot about that.
brush from a
And didn't you
grill.
say the police? Didn't you say they called the police and they didn't show for 3 hours or something?
Yeah, we got one of our guys got an actual like slight physical like altercation with them, and the police never showed up. And not only did we call the police, but we share our parking lot with the daycare, and they called and they still didn't show up. And I'm like, if they're not coming for the daycare, they're not coming for my pallet of shirts outside.
All right, terrible idea. Forget it. All right, next question is both for Eric and Tony. I'm not leaving anyone out this time. I apologize for those first couple. Here we go. So ready? Real mac and cheese or vegan?
Real?
Yeah, I mean, isn't real mac and cheese like mostly vegan anyway?
You got dairy.
It's
and
cheese.
noodles.
So I thought you were vegan, Tony. No.
I mean,
I'm
like
vegetarian.
Oreos are fully vegan.
What are?
Oreos.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like
Mac
Is
and
it-
cheese
is it
is
really-
definitely not
I
vegan.
think the
you're talking
question.
like
I think the
Kraft
question
mac
is
and cheese. Is it
homemade mac and cheese versus Kraft mac.
Well, it's real mac and cheese was the question, right? So real is cheese, real cheese.
Yeah.
Not whatever orange paste.
I love how this question turned into.
Yeah,
Like,
how
what is
fucking
this?
dare you bring this up? No, I'm with Tony. Like real mac and cheese. I eat cheese. I eat eggs. Like
I eat cheese and eggs as well.
Cheese is
so
good.
I'm just vegetarian. I think Eric and I are on the same page there.
Eric's only vegetarian unless there's a hot dog involved.
that's true. I'll eat a real hot dog. I'll get wild with Dylan in New York City.
The worst fucking hot dog I ever had in my life.
Loved every second of it.
That's true. I did. It was the experience, not the hot dog.
We have
It was
to
the,
drink
it was the
some water.
search.
Which would you rather run into, a ghost, an alien, or a Sasquatch?
I would say ghost or alien over Sasquatch because I feel like with a Sasquatch, like you're getting your arms ripped off if you're that
Yeah.
close. Alien, you know, it's like 50-50. And it's kind of the same thing with a ghost.
My all-time favorite commercial is the Jack Link's messing with Sasquatch commercials.
Sure.
The best one by far is the one where the camper has the buzzer in his hand, like the joke buzzer, where when you shake it buzzes, and he goes to shake Sasquatch's hand and it buzzes, and all his buddies are laughing at Sasquatch for being stupid for whatever, and Sasquatch just rips his fucking arm off and like throws it. It's like it's the best. It should live on for forever.
I think you guys are probably right, though. There's probably no sightings because if you've sighted him, it's game over.
Yeah.
Like he's closing that gap faster than you can run. Your arms are coming off. Your body's gone. So I'm going to have to go with aliens if they're not probing. I don't want any probing aliens. I don't want that. And ghosts.
You don't want that again.
I mean, I would be down with like a Patrick Swayze ghost. I know a lot of the younger people don't know that reference, but
You want to be hugged and like
Yeah.
shown out of mold stuff.
yeah, I'll make some pottery with a ghost.
What about like a Bruce Willis like type of ghost? How do you feel about that?
That'd be cool. That
Like, that's not
motherfucker
scary.
worked. He was dead and still had a job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like I once saw an alien, so I feel like I've been down that road maybe already. So let's go ghost. Screw it. I'm going straight into ghost town. Come on, buddy.
Ghost town.
Wait, we can't let that slip by. You share this experience. Like you saw an alien where?
Well, I was very young, and it was probably a sleep terror or something. But I have a feeling that like I looked out my window and there was something out there. I don't know.
That's why he's so against probing, because he
Yeah.
fucking happened.
I've seen it firsthand, boys. I've seen it firsthand. You
Felt
don't
it.
want to probe. I do like the idea of a Men in Black situation, though, that they're just like living amongst us and we're just we're zapping and we don't remember it. I'm down with that.
For sure.
Okay,
All right, Andy.
Final
Last
question.
question.
here we go. What's for Din Din?
Mac and cheese.
We have a guest in town, so I don't know. We keep going to all these like cool Houston restaurants. So I think tonight we're doing a Korean fried chicken restaurant. So yeah, that's what I think we're doing.
What do you have at a Korean fried chicken restaurant?
They have vegetarian options, so it's typically like Korean fried tofu.
Tofu.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm
Tony?
going Indian buffet. We're doing Indian buffet.
I didn't know
Nice.
that was a thing.
Oh God, so good.
That's like one of the only ways to do it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I've never heard or seen of an Indian buffet before.
Well, you have one restaurant in your town.
That's
I've been
true,
to your
yeah,
town
yeah.
a few times.
Yeah.
And
It's like
he
4
takes me to
pizza
this-
places and that's it.
Yeah, you take me to the same place every time, and you have the same complaint.
Never again.
Every time
Never
we go.
again.
I want to go to Arby's, bro. Bring me to Arby's.
Let's do it. We'll get a big Montana's and we'll just drip fucking juices into each other's mouths.
I also want to publicly call out Eric for bringing me to Italian restaurant in Texas.
Okay,
That was the
hold on.
worst, the worst experience probably I've ever had in my entire life. No,
First
even
of
the
all, I don't
probing
think I chose
alien,
the restaurant.
even the probing alien was not so bad.
I don't think I chose a restaurant. 2, it's not an Italian restaurant. It's a pizza restaurant with spaghetti. And 3, they're like Brett from Printed Threads customer. It's like a very renowned
Yeah.
Fort Worth restaurant. So
Yeah. And
Oh, it was
4,
renowned. It was
Or-
renowned, all right.
Tony, it's your fault for ordering pasta there. Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
You don't do
why don't you
that.
fucking just get pizza?
You
like
brought
the
me
rest-
to a pasta restaurant.
No, it was a pizza place that had pasta. You just said
And
that.
again-
and you ordered fucking pasta.
Tony's that guy who goes to
in
Tony's that guy who
Texas.
goes to Pizza Hut and gets the fucking pasta.
Gets the salmon or something.
Oh, this is authentic.
You guys told me it was authentic. You said this place is so good. It's so good. You're gonna love it. The meatballs, huh?
Oh,
I
for
liked
real.
the place.
There, I think we didn't Andy. Didn't we try 3 other restaurants and we just could
Oh,
not
yeah.
get- Oh.
Well, we had a party of 100 and they were like, no. Everybody was like, no. And this place, they said yes.
Best pasta in town
Yeah, that's their slogan.
at 2 a.m. on a Thursday. It's the only good pasta.
All 3 of you come down to Water Base Camp in July. We'll go and we'll get real Texas pasta.
Sounds so good.
Sign me up. I'm there.
Yeah.
I'll eat it. I don't care.
I'm there.
I eat fucking beefaronis. I can eat fucking Texas pasta.
Fast forward, we pull up to Taco Bell where they throw those pastas in the fryer to give you the cinnamon crunchy things that they put sugar all over. Get out of here with that.
All right. We appreciate you both. I'm glad you're both here. This is our last episode ever because we fucking talked so much shit about people that we probably shouldn't have. And
It's been great. Yeah.
I love you both so much.
Shout out to the Discord crew. I know I have not been there as much, but there's 400 something people deep at the moment, and that's a testament to what you boys are doing and to Eric
join
getting
up.
there and helping people. So come join in. Try to find the answer to the question and don't ask the same one over and over again, and then we'll embrace you.
The link is on our Instagram
Talk
if you
shit
want to
about
join.
me too, and you fit right in with everyone
Yeah.
else, yelling at me about whatever.
Yeah,
That
do
is
it.
true. That is true. All right, boys.
Yeah,
Enjoy
thanks
the
for
rest of your
having
day.
us.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good
Love
one.
you all.
Bye.
Bye.